I, a mere mortal, cultivated arduously for centuries, and finally ascended to the pinnacle, attaining the rank of Quasi-Emperor before my lifespan was exhausted. But just as I prepared to enter seclusion once more to achieve the great Emperor realm, the system suddenly awakened at this very moment. Yet, upon seeing the system's mission, I simply told it to begun. 500 years prior, when I had just transmigrated, it remained dormant. Now that I have become a Quasi-Emperor, it finally awakens. What possible use could it be? After all, in this era where great emperors no longer appear, a mere Quasi-Emperor is already an invincible powerhouse, standing at the apex of this entire universe, with absolutely no need for any system's assistance. However, the system then informed me that merely by suppressing a Son of Destiny during the Tianxing Sextable selection, I could obtain a newbie gift package. I cared not for the rewards the system spoke of, but the mention of the Tianxing sect within its prompt piqued my interest, for it was the very first sect I had joined 5 centuries ago. In essence, this system was precisely 500 years too late, yet I found it quite peculiar. 500 years ago, within the Tianxing sect, there was no Son of Destiny whatsoever, for among the disciples of that generation, the most prominent individual was none other than myself. Now, it was asking me, a Quasi-Emperor level villain, to suppress a newly emergent Son of Destiny. Was this not an insult to my status, forcing me to act? Such an improper mission, however, couldn't help but ignite a spark of interest in me, a Quasi-Emperor bored to death by idleness. Immediately after, I rose, stepped out of the void, and descended directly upon the Konggong starfield, where the Tianxing sect was located. At this moment, before the gates of the Tianxing sect, tens of thousands of young men and women had gathered, awaiting the commencement of the sect's selection trials. Within the teeming crowd, a youth of unremarkable appearance radiated an extraordinary aura. This individual was precisely the Son of Destiny, Wang Huo. Elder Zheng, is this truly the sect where the Youye Shengwang once cultivated? Indeed, this is the very sect where that beast Youye once cultivated. Disciple, you must remember, Youye is a sinister and cunning individual, vicious, ruthless, and utterly deceitful. Your master was precisely schemed against by him, leading to my demise. You possess the Fire Saint Divine body. In the future, you are destined to ascend to the pinnacle of the Grand Tao. When you have sufficient power, you must avenge your master. Elder Zhang, rest assured. Since I have acknowledged you as my master, I shall naturally avenge this grievance for you. Excellent. That Youye, after joining the Tianxing sect all those years ago, quickly rose to prominence and became a powerhouse among humanity. Before departing the Tianxing sect, he left behind an inheritance for the sect. Others may not know how to claim this inheritance, but I know precisely how. Once you join the Tianxing sect, go and seize that fellow's inheritance. Thus you can grow at the fastest possible rate. Upon hearing Elder Zhang speak of the Youye Shengwang's inheritance, a blazing light flickered in Wang Huo's eyes. Yet, at this very moment above the Tianxing sect, clouds churned like a tempestuous sea as powerful cultivators of the Tianxing sect emerged from the void. Our Tianxing sect has been established for eons, and countless powerhouses have emerged from its ranks. Even the Youye Shengwang, who arose to suppress an entire era 500 years ago, was once a disciple of our Tianxing sect. If you can join the Tianxing sect, then not only will your name echo across the Tianhuang continent, but even dominating the entire universe will not be an impossibility. As these words were uttered, the breathing of all the young men and women quickened, their eyes overflowing with fervent yearning and anticipation. But just as the ancient elder prepared to announce the commencement of the sex assessment trials, the heavens and earth abruptly changed color. Ancient phantoms of demonic gods seemed to transcend the endless expanse of time to arrive. In an instant, all living beings looked up, their pupils contracting, expressions of profound terror etched upon their faces. There I stood, clad in robes whiter than snow, my imperial might descending upon the skies of the Tianhuang continent like an unfathomable abyss. With my descent, the entirety of the Tianhuang continent fell into an ominous stillness. Regardless of who they were, all immediately bowed their heads, as if incapable of even looking directly at the man before them. The Youye Shengwang, having achieved the Quasi-Emperor realm in just a short 500 years. Who would have thought humanity could produce yet another Quasi-Emperor? Every powerhouse across the Tianhuang continent revealed expressions of utter horror and shock. The entire Tianhuang continent seemed to fall silent in that single moment. An absolute silence descended, so complete that the faintest whisper would echo. Youye Saint King, such was my title in this fantastical myriad races universe. Impossible. How could this young man have ascended to the Quasi-Emperor realm so quickly? Wang Huo gulped, for the first time feeling a surge of uncertainty about whether he could truly assist his master in suppressing the Youye Saint King. Having just descended upon the Tianhuang continent, my form subtly shifted and myriad anomalous phenomena vanished. The sky across 10,000 miles returned to its clear azure, yet my presence had now appeared above the Tianxing sect. In the blink of an eye, all the powerhouses of the Tianxing sect were alarmed. Even the venerable recluses residing deep within the sect, or those in secluded cultivation, were awakened in alarm. Within a mere instant, over 100 formidable experts had gathered in the skies above the Tianxing sect. We respectfully welcome the arrival of Emperor Youye. There is no need for such tension. I have merely come to pay my respects to the venerable elders. Hearing my cordial words, the high-ranking members of the Tianxing sect could not help but reveal smiles. At this moment, my gaze swept down to the young men and women on the ground. However, the instant they met my gaze, all the young men and women below revealed expressions of apprehension, followed by profound reverence. Greetings, Emperor Youye. Within the crowd, Wang Huo hesitated for a moment, then had no choice but to bow and kneel. Master has successfully suppressed the Heaven's Chosen One's destiny, forcing the Heaven's Chosen One to kneel before Master. Congratulations, Master, on completing the novice task. Hearing the system's voice, a faint, enigmatic smile played upon my lips. Suppressing a Heaven's Chosen One was indeed as easy as turning one's hand. I did not even need to personally make a move. Merely my appearance was enough without expending any effort. I waved my hand, lifting everyone below to their feet. You are all the future of humanity. Young ones, strive diligently in your cultivation. Hearing my words, the group of youths below became overjoyed. As if they had received the greatest honor, they thanked me profusely. I paid no mind to the fervent, worshipful gazes from below. I was contemplating who among them was the Heaven's Chosen One. My eyes swept forth, activating my aura scrying method. Very quickly, I focused my gaze upon Wang Hua. Great Emperor, have you discovered any child with extraordinary talent? No, it is merely that I seem to have encountered an old acquaintance. Hearing me speak of an old acquaintance, the high-ranking members of the Tianxing sect exchanged glances. They immediately understood, their expressions shifted, and they instantly looked down at the crowd below. Someone Emperor Yuye called an old acquaintance would have lived for several hundred years at the very least, yet these bowing disciples were clearly mere youths. The implication was clear, there was undoubtedly a significant problem. This is bad, that despicable Yuye has discovered me. Hearing this, Wang Huo's expression changed drastically. His heart nearly stopped beating. Young man Wang, relax your mind, abandon all resistance, I will take you away at once. Hearing this, Wang Huo's expression softened slightly and he sighed in relief. I observed Wang Huo's actions. Before this emperor he dares to leave. Boom! A pallid aura emanated from around Wang Huo. The instant he intended to tear open space to flee, I waved my hand, and the space within a radius of tens of thousands of miles instantly froze. In a flash, the spatial vortex behind Wang Huo directly vanished. Even divine chains shrouding the sky in all 8 directions appeared as if sealing off all surrounding space. With just a single hand, Wang Huo was suppressed on the spot. As I retracted my hand, Wang Huo was grasped within my palm. Divine light radiated from my eyes. The depths of my eyes seemed capable of discerning the true essence of all things. Wang Huo instantly felt as though his entire being had been seen through. Found it. I muttered softly, reaching out to grasp firmly as a bone-chilling snap echoed. The ring on Wang Huo's finger shattered into dust, and with my other hand, I dragged an ethereal soul body out from within it. Is this not great sage Wang Yo, the one who fought against great Emperor Youyi 200 years ago? Had he not already been slain and suppressed by great Emperor Yui? How could he possibly still be alive? Catching a clear sight of the soul body in my hand, the elders of the Tianxing sect were all overwhelmed with shock. Master has forcefully suppressed the golden finger of the Child of Fate. Upgrading beginner's gift pack rewards. Paying no mind to the system notification ringing in my ears, a faint divine radiance flickered in my eyes as I looked down at old Wang Yu. So it is you. How on earth is an old relic like you still breathing? Earlier I merely sensed a familiar soul aura. Little did I expect this old friend to be great sage Wang Yu himself. What I expected even less, great sage Wang Yu, is that after I completely obliterated your divine soul 200 years ago, you are still alive. Knowing his doom was certain, great sage Wang Yu abandoned all restraint. He glared at me with venomous hatred and roared. But before I could speak, a supreme elder of the Tianxing sect behind me stepped forward and bellowed, Wang Yu, do you possess even a shred of shame left? Great Emperor Youye regarded you as a friend, bestowing precious resources upon you time and time again. Not only were you ungrateful to Great Emperor Yaoye, but you secretly colluded with the foreign races to plot his suppression. Was Great Emperor Youye not entirely justified in striking you down? I regarded him as a friend. Was it not his duty to aid this old man? He clearly entered the ancient forbidden land and obtained a supreme opportunity, yet he refused to divulge a single word to me, much less share it with me. Therefore he deserved to die. Hearing the absurd reasoning of great sage Wang Yu, the upper echelon of the Tianxing sect exchanged glances, ultimately shaking their heads in silence. Your assistance to Master was only natural, a privilege for you. Yet you dared to raise your hand against Master. You are unworthy of the title of a great emperor of humanity. Hearing this, I was left utterly speechless. Birds of a feather truly flocked together. This Wang Yu was a fool, and this Child of Fate was hardly any better. For a moment, I even doubted whether this brat was a genuine Child of Fate at all. I could not be bothered to waste words on this master and disciple duo, nor did I care to argue with them. However, as to how Wang Yu was resurrected, my curiosity was indeed piqued. Next, I channeled my divine power. Pressing a finger directly between the eyebrows of great sage Wang Yu, I initiated a soul search. My spiritual force breached deep into the true spirit of great sage Wang Yu. Seeing great sage Wang Yu still trying to resist, I merely uttered a cold snort and his soul body was instantly sealed in place. A mere insignificant restriction? Do you truly think you could block this emperor's gaze? Break. Swiftly, an invisible explosion vibrated and a vast flood of memories laid bare before my eyes. In an instant, every single memory of great sage Wang Yu was completely seized by my mind. Having discerned the truth of the matter, a chilling glint flickered in my eyes. Wang Yu, your audacity knows no bounds. Not only did you submit to a great emperor of the foreign races, but you dared to collude with them to plot against our human race, scheming to bury the myriad living beings of the Tianhuang continent, all to aid the resurrection of a foreign great emperor. You deserve death 10,000 times over. As it turned out, the foreign great emperor, seeing Wang Yue's potential, had secretly saved his life. The foreign emperor's ultimate goal was to use great sage Wang Yue to destabilize the Tianhuang continent from within, allowing them to refine the vital essence of all living beings to restore their own life origin. Had I not uncovered this today, backed by the overwhelming fortune of the Child of Fate, this catastrophe might very well have succeeded. No wonder he was so thoroughly self-serving. It turned out he was a Child of Fate from the demonic path. A frigid gleam flashed in my eyes, everything now crystal clear. Upon hearing my words, the faces of the Tianxing sect high elders paled dramatically as they closely observed the situation unfold. Throughout the void, powerful experts across the Tianhuang continent lost their composure. Terrifying aura ripples fluctuated everywhere in utter panic. Humanity does not even possess a single living emperor. What right do you have to continue existing? Since my lord grants me a breakthrough, I shall be his most loyal servant. Yaye, if you dare lay a hand on this old man, my lord will never forgive you. Without waiting for great sage Wang Yu to utter another word, I directly crushed his soul body into dust and ash. The master has destroyed the Son of Destiny's golden finger, and the rewards from the novice gift package are now increasing exponentially. Hearing the system's voice echo in my ears, my expression remained unchanged as I gazed down at Wang Huo, still held firmly in my grasp. The realm of return to the ruins dared to interfere with the human race, and this debt, as a quasi-emperor of the human race, I must naturally settle it first. This Son of Destiny no longer needs to exist. Divine power surged, and my palm tightened, ready to crush Wang Huo to death. Sensing the chilling killing intent radiating from me, Wang Huo's face twisted in despair and profound unwillingness, as if he could not fathom such an ignominious end. Yet just as I was about to crush Wang Huo, the very heavens and earth suddenly shifted. A mighty rumble. The heavens and earth quaked. Thunder roared and deafening explosions echoed from the celestial expanse. From the depths of the netherworld, an immense surge of wrath seemed to descend from the very void. In an instant, across the boundless void above the heavenly desolate continent, bolts of lightning exploded, threatening to utterly obliterate all existence within this realm. This was once again the will of the heavens and earth. Though the heavenly tribulation had not yet fully descended, I could already sense the profound aura of the netherworld, locking firmly onto my being. It seemed that if I were to make but one more move, the heavenly tribulation would instantly descend to suppress me. A Son of Destiny is protected by the heavens and earth. To slay a Son of Destiny and leave the heavens and earth unshaken? I looked up, my eyes narrowing slightly, and instantly recalled the villainous novels I had read in my previous life. They all spoke of the immutable truth. A Son of Destiny cannot be slain as long as their fortune remains unbroken. I possess the protection of vast destiny, shielded by the heavens and earth themselves. Yoye, you arrogant boy, do you truly dare to slay me? Can you even achieve such a feat? Release me at once. Simply let me go, and grant me a few benefits, and I swear I shall never harbor enmity towards you again. 30 years the river flows east, 30 years it flows west. Do not scorn a youth in poverty. Hearing this, I merely chuckled. So what if the heavens and earth protect you? I am an emperor, one who suppresses all within this mortal realm. If I desire to slay a man, none can impede me. Even the heavens themselves are no exception. My divine power exploded, and my palm bore down with crushing force, intent on instantly obliterating Wang Huo. As for the will of the heavens and earth, I shall simply ignore it. You dare truly slay me? Perceiving my palm beginning to exert its full might, Wang Huo's face contorted in utter horror. A thunderous roar. The heavens and earth grew even more enraged. As if utterly astounded that with the heavenly tribulation already looming above, I still dared to make a move. In that instant, countless intersecting bolts of lightning converged, coalescing into the form of a massive lightning dragon, roaring, baring its fangs and claws as it lunged fiercely towards me. My eyelids merely twitched. My terrifying physical body, akin to one that has endured myriad tribulations and remains indestructible, erupted with power, and I directly seized the heavenly tribulation's lightning dragon with my bare hands. To grasp a lightning dragon barehanded, this was the true power of Emperor Yuye. The one who had battled across myriad realms, ascended against the torrent of destiny, and attained the status of a quasi-emperor. Witnessing me seize the lightning dragon with but one hand, the countless formidable cultivators across the heavenly desolate continent were all struck with profound terror. Vanish from this emperor's sight. My voice deepened, and my palm tightened with a subtle surge of power. In that instant, the lightning dragon appeared to suffer a devastating blow, and layer by layer it began to unravel, ultimately dissolving into mere streaks of lightning that vanished into the boundless void. 3,000 Grandao laws illuminated the sky, their brilliance intensifying as they seemed to coalesce into 3,000 forbidden seals and ancient runes, inscribing themselves upon the thunderclouds. A far more ferocious and terrifying heavenly tribulation began to take shape, locking onto my form from all directions. This emperor desires to slay a man, and none shall bar my path. To think the mere will of the heavens and earth of a minor planet dares to provoke a great emperor? My expression remained impassive, my voice chilling. I gazed upwards at the heavens, and in the depths of my eyes a terrifying phenomenon appeared. All creation seemed to unravel, the very stars twisting and contorting. Begone. Then I unleashed a single punch, mighty divine power condensing into a colossal fist, hurtling towards the thundercloud. With that single strike, all colors in heaven and earth seemed to dim. The berserk power not only shattered the thundercloud but also tore through the void itself. The endless void collapsed layer by layer, even revealing a clear glimpse of the cosmos itself in the sky. The immortal battle armor erupted from my body, and my supreme divine consciousness sealed off heaven and earth. My figure stood tall and resolute, as if silently declaring, "If there is a next time, I shall obliterate the heavens." A deadly silence followed. The sky returned to its clear blue, the clouds having dispersed for 10,000 miles. The 3,000 Tao laws, which had been manifest in the void, had silently vanished at some unknown point. The will of heaven and earth had retreated once more, leaving all living beings utterly terrified. Now, who can protect you? My aura gradually stabilized. Impossible. Wang He was terrified, his complexion turning deathly pale, his eyes filled with even greater horror. "Spare me. Great Emperor Yoye, please spare this lowly one." Before Wang He could finish his plea, I tightened my grip, crushing him instantly. I opened my palm and casually blew away Wang He's dust. From beginning to end, Wang He had never even been worth my attention. The only reason I had come here was simply because I was idle and had nothing better to do. It was not out of any apprehension. Did they truly believe that a quasi-emperor, standing at the pinnacle of the cosmos above myriad races, was merely an empty title? The Son of Destiny has been annihilated by the Master. The Master has overcompleted the novice mission. May I ask if Master would like to open the novice gift package? Open it. The novice gift package has been opened. Congratulations, Master. You have received the Ultimate Emperor armament, the Bahuang Lianyu Ji. It has been temporarily stored in the system space. Master can retrieve it at will. Would you like to retrieve it now? As the system's voice fell silent, my vision flashed and a projection appeared before me. The Bahuang Lianyu Ji, an Ultimate Emperor armament, a treasure of slaughter. The divine artifact within had awakened, forged from 8 minor worlds. It contained the destructive power of the 8 desolations. The divine artifact had awakened automatically. A single strike from it or even a wisp of its aura could obliterate an entire starfield. Wielding this battle halberd, one could even contend with a great emperor. Within the deep reaches of the netherworld, a mystical sensation emerged. I could almost feel it, slumbering in a dark, distant space. A blood-stained battle halberd, sleeping soundly, awaited my summoning command. Even separated by vast space, I could still feel a profound connection, as if by blood. It seemed that with merely a thought, the Bahuang Lianyu Ji could tear through space and descend before me. A mere novice gift package actually rewarded an Ultimate Emperor armament. I raised an eyebrow, a trace of surprise flashing in my eyes, and a faint smile appeared at the corner of my mouth. One must understand that throughout this entire cosmos, the number of Ultimate Emperor armaments could be counted on one's fingers. Even as a Quasi-Emperor, I did not possess a single one. Now, with an Ultimate Emperor armament in hand, my confidence in venturing into the Guishu Forbidden Zone had soared immensely. The Guishu Forbidden Zone dared to plot against the human race? How could I possibly not settle this debt? Arranging my thoughts, a faint smile appeared on my face. After offering a perfunctory apology to the high-ranking members of the Tianxing sect, I immediately turned and departed for the Guishu Forbidden Zone. A dying alien great emperor, yet still daring to bully the human race? Did they truly believe I was already dead? The Guishu Forbidden Zone. It lay deep within the Kangyong starfield, a region of dead planets, renowned for containing numerous opportunities, but also rife with countless formidable restrictions. Countless cultivators from the Heaven Stair realm and beyond, when their lifespans neared their end, would venture into the Guishu Forbidden Zone, desperately seeking to extend their longevity or achieve a breakthrough. Within the boundless cosmos, many such forbidden zones akin to Guishu still exist. They are designated as forbidden zones for a singular, terrifying reason. They harbor great emperors. Within each, a great emperor lies self-sealed. From the ancient era to the present, across countless ages, how many great emperors, their lifespans nearing their twilight, chose to self-seal within these zones, patiently awaiting the opening of the Heaven's Gate? None can truly say. Though cultivators can extend their lifespans through cultivation, ultimately, none can truly escape the grasp of death. Even those who ascend to the revered rank of great emperor possess lifespans of mere tens of thousands of years. Without transcending to godhood, no matter how formidable, true immortality remains an elusive dream. This grim reality is precisely why these great emperors resorted to self-sealing. From antiquity to the present, these very forbidden zones have been the catalyst for countless massacres. While a self-sealed great emperor can indeed largely delay the ravages of aging, their lifespans will ultimately and inevitably dwindle. This impending doom is precisely what gives rise to the great calamities of slaughter. Each time a great emperor approaches the brink of death, they emerge from their forbidden zone, relying on the abhorrent act of devouring the life essence of countless beings to condense their own, thus prolonging their existence. The current covert machinations of the Guishu Forbidden Zone are similarly driven by this very desperation. This dual nature explains why each forbidden zone instills both profound dread and an unsettling yearning in the hearts of mortals. Today, within the shadowy expanse of the azure, firmament star domain, a solitary white-robed figure slowly materialized from the very void itself. With every step I took, the aura emanating from my being grew increasingly potent. Without a single wasted word, I unleashed a decisive punch. This single blow seemed to embody the principle of all creation returning to naught. Even a mere wisp of its lingering aura caused planets within several light-years to shatter into cosmic dust. Boom! The very fabric of the void trembled. Countless spatial vortices ripped open, and beneath this devastating blow, a corner of the hidden Guishu Forbidden Zone was forcibly revealed. From the myriad tombs nestled within the Gishu Forbidden Zone, a thick, ominous aura began to seep forth. For the Guishu Forbidden Zone was supposedly the hallowed resting place of great emperors. Who dares challenge the majesty of a great emperor? Great emperors, a mere horde of parasitic insects surviving only by slaughtering sentient beings, yet dare to crown themselves great emperors. My voice, like roaring thunder, echoed across the entirety of the azure firmament star domain. Upon hearing my blatant insult to their revered great emperors, the protectors guarding those slumbering figures within the Guishu Forbidden Zone erupted in fury. Black mist billowed forth. Figures, each radiating divine light, instantly strode out from the Gishu Forbidden Zone. I, who had suppressed an entire era for centuries, who defied the heavens themselves, step by arduous step, had indeed achieved the rank of Quasi-Emperor. My renown had echoed across the myriad realms, so much so that even these ancient protectors recognized my presence. Do you truly believe that merely attaining the Quasi-Emperor realm makes you invincible? To dare insult great emperors is to court death. A contingent of protectors, their visages akin to descending immortals, yet their eyes blazing with killing intent, launched a direct assault upon me. Waves of pressure, characteristic of both Saint King and Quasi-Emperor realms, rapidly proliferated. Countless powerhouses from adjacent star domains were shaken, their gazes drawn one by one toward the Guishu Forbidden Zone. Why has the moonlit Sage King suddenly chosen to clash with the Guishu Forbidden Zone? Any who dare provoke a Forbidden Zone are surely doomed. The moonlit Sage King is far too arrogant. Does he truly believe that merely attaining the Quasi-Emperor Dao allows him to contend with the Forbidden Zone? As they clearly perceived the unfolding situation before the Guishu Forbidden Zone, each powerhouse was first struck with astonishment, then subtly shook their heads in resignation, as if already foreseeing my inevitable demise. Across heaven and earth, only I am supreme. Observing the relentless offensive of the myriad protectors, my countenance remained placid, not even deigning to draw forth my ultimate emperor armament. Instantly thereafter, my form stirred, manifesting several formidable clones that simultaneously surged forth, assailing the Forbidden Zone protectors. Having traversed this mystical world for 5 centuries, my attainment of the Quasi-Emperor realm was not born of mere fortune, but forged through absolute might. It was honed by treading upon the broken bones of countless heavens-chosen and monstrous prodigies, battling relentlessly until I seized the Quasi-Emperor Dao fruit, the 8 desolations imprisoning heaven finger. The very cosmos surged as if converging the Dao laws of the 8 desolation. A colossal finger, seemingly capable of seizing heaven and earth, descended from beyond the firmament, striking towards one of the protectors. Each successive surge of emperors might cause countless surrounding celestial bodies to shatter into cosmic dust. As I simultaneously unleashed a myriad of divine abilities and formidable battle techniques, the scores of protectors were relentlessly forced into retreat, seemingly unable to withstand even a single one of my attacks. Hundreds of light years beyond the Gishu Forbidden Zone, numerous figures had inexplicably appeared. Each powerhouse wore a dazed, disbelieving expression, their gazes fixed upon me. They clearly had not anticipated that I alone could contend against the might of an entire Forbidden Zone. These guardians had not experienced battle for countless years, while Quasi-Emperor Yu Yi had forged her path to the Quasi-Emperor realm through endless combat. The combat experience between the two sides was a chasm apart, compounded by Yaye's overwhelming aura, which surged forth like a blazing tide. Naturally, these guardians were no match, yet their resistance was ultimately futile. Soon every powerful expert present understood. Though they were astonished by my strength, they still shook their heads, unwilling to truly acknowledge me. For even if one possessed unparalleled power, what then? A quasi-emperor in the end was merely a quasi-emperor. How could they ever contend with a true great emperor? If the great emperor within the Return Ruins restricted zone were to revive, a single thought would be enough to suppress Yu Ye. Relying on merely this level of strength, survival would be an absolute impossibility. As I continued my relentless assault, my combat power and my mastery over the Quasi-Emperor realm grew steadily. When I had completely grasped the full might of a Quasi-Emperor, my eyes blazed with newfound resolve, and I let out a resounding roar. Countless avatars manifested at this very moment, exuding a profound aura. Terrifying power erupted from my body, evolving into layers upon layers of divine abilities and profound combat techniques, directly suppressing all the guardians. In an instant, a vast number of guardians fell. Even the Quasi-Emperors among them incessantly vomited blood, their auras weakening to their absolute limit. Luangu Great Emperor, crawl out here for this emperor. Otherwise today, this emperor shall raise your Return Ruins restricted zone to the ground. My grand and majestic voice echoed throughout the vast cosmos, my heaven shattering while locking onto the Return Ruins restricted zone, as if in the very next second I would utterly flatten it. For Luangu Great Emperor was none other than the one who had secretly saved Wang Yue Great Saint and conspired to unleash an ancient Great Emperor's massacre upon the Tianhuang continent. One Quasi-Emperor guardian clutched his chest, his eyes wide with disbelief. Before he could even finish his words, I struck him with a single punch, exploding him into mere dust. The very next second, the Return Ruins restricted zone trembled violently, as if a miraculous deity from ancient times had returned, resurrected. Yue Yi, you are courting death. An ethereal shadow, seemingly transcending the very river of time and space, manifested. From swarm waves of imperial might emanated, stifling the breath of countless beings present. Brat Yeye, what do you take yourself for? Merely a quasi-emperor, yet you dare to challenge a great emperor. A single wisp of this emperor's oppressive might is enough to slay you 10,000 times over. Luangu Great Emperor seemed to stand upon the very river of time and space itself, his gaze fixed upon me, utterly cold. No sooner had his words faded than a wave of Luangu Great Emperor's imperial might directly enveloped me. In that instant the cosmos trembled, the very fabric of the universe fractured. Though it was but a single wisp of imperial might, it contained unimaginable, terrifying power. One could only witness that terrifying imperial might sweep forth, shattering space, stirring up an immeasurable void, then crushing down upon me. Sensing the dreadful power radiating from that imperial might, I merely sneered, my eyes revealing a blazing, indomitable battle intent. I sensed the 8 Desolations purgatory halberd within my spatial dimension, but I was in no hurry to retrieve it. Instead, with eyes burning with fiery battle intent, I roared in defiance against the imperial might. After all, a great emperor who had not yet fully broken his seal was hardly worth me wielding an ultimate emperor artifact. The next second, my lips subtly moved, as I slowly uttered 9 words, unleashing a supreme secret technique I had comprehended and created throughout my entire life. Empowered by this supreme secret technique, my aura surged dramatically and my combat power increased more than tenfold. Immediately afterward, I stretched out a hand and within my palm a silver dragon seemed to roar into existence. In a flash, the oppressive imperial might was utterly annihilated. Without pausing, my figure flickered, and I instantly appeared before Luangu Great Emperor. My battle halberd, though not physically drawn, was wielded anew, swinging forth as if to cleave the heavens and split the earth, directly striking towards Luangu Great Emperor. In that instant, an explosive roar transcending the very layers of reality reverberated. The very area where Luangu Great Emperor and I stood instantly collapsed, and vast currents of primordial chaos erupted forth. Under the full force of my strike, it directly pierced through the entire universe, forcing us both into an alternate dimension. As for Luangu Great Emperor, caught completely off guard by my sudden full-power assault, he was directly suppressed, his divine essence dimming and flickering. His divine essence was even sent flying out of him. Do all of you still wish to continue watching this spectacle? Could it be that you truly wish for me to break my seal at this very moment? Are you still not making a move? Quickly assist me in suppressing this foe. A cold voice, seething with extreme rage, emanated from within the divine source. The great Emperor of Chaos, filled with fury, was already intent on breaking free from his seal. No sooner had he spoken than a surging heavenly might instantly swept through the boundless Tao race. Within the boundless Tao race, one after another, supreme and ethereal figures of immense nobility appeared throughout the cosmos. These projected emperor figures materialized across the universe, their emperor's might surging like an endless ocean, causing the entire cosmos to tremble. Even the 3,000 great Tao, the very rules of existence, were projected onto the sky, seemingly quivering in fear. All Tao and techniques within the vast universe seemed to be frozen and sealed in that instant. A mere quasi-emperor like Yoye had actually managed to push a great emperor to such an extent. 5 great emperors descended simultaneously, solely to suppress Yoye. Every powerful expert felt their hearts tremble, their scalps tingling with apprehension. None of them had ever imagined that Yoye could force a great emperor to such a degree. What a pity. Even with unparalleled combat prowess, one should not be so arrogant. Contending against a great emperor ultimately did not equate to triumphing over one. Even if the great emperor did not fully unseal himself, with 5 great emperors having descended, how could Yoye possibly resist? Countless experts witnessing the current situation shook their heads incessantly, utterly convinced that he possessed no power left to retaliate against such a force. After all, these were 5 great emperors who had descended. Even without breaking their seals, how could a mere quasi-emperor like Yoye contend against them? Everyone in their hearts already knew what the outcome would be, that today Yoye would undoubtedly meet his demise. Facing the aura of the 5 descending great emperors, Yoye merely smiled, and his smile caused the 5 great emperors to subtly frown, a hint of incomprehension in their eyes. They could not fathom why, at such a moment, he could still manage to smile. Under the watchful gaze of countless eyes, Yoye raised his hand and grasped towards the void. With a subtle shift of thought, Yoye had secretly connected with the 8 Desolations purgatory halberd in space. In an instant, the universe transformed. Demonic flames surged sky-high as a halberd, resembling a coiling black dragon, descended from the heavens imbued with the ominous phenomena of all creation shattering. When the battle halberd emerged, the space around it became viscous. Even time itself seemed to cease its flow. A terrifying oppressive might continuously spread in all directions. Tens of millions of stars within the firmament star domain trembled, their glittering starlight resonating, as if unable to bear the immense pressure. The terrifying power concealed within the 8 Desolations purgatory halberd, a spectral image of the battle halberd, radiating black flames, floated within, seemingly illuminating the entire universe. The moment the 8 Desolations purgatory halberd appeared, it shook the entire universe. This aura was none other than that of a supreme Tao Emperor armament descending. In an instant, in the farthest corners of the universe, ancient sleeping existences were all awakened by the 8 Desolations purgatory halberd. Countless gazes pierced through the vast starry sky directed towards Yueye. Throughout the universe, surges of ominous auras swelled and receded. That young one, Wei, surprisingly possessed Tao Emperor armament. The 5 great emperors, looking simultaneously, found their expressions turning grim. One must understand, even many great emperors themselves do not possess a supreme Tao Emperor armament. A Supreme Tao Emperor armament is even more precious than a great emperor himself. This was no idle talk. Do all of you wish to break your seals and fight this emperor, or will you simply scram? Today this emperor will absolutely lay waste to the great emperor of chaos. Originally, Yo Ye was not sure if he could contend against a great emperor, but with the 8 Desolations Purgatory halberd in hand, he finally understood. As long as they lacked a Supreme Tao Emperor armament, even a great emperor could be suppressed by him. Fellow Taoist, is there perhaps some misunderstanding in this current action? As these words left his mouth, every powerful expert across the entire universe gasped in cold shock. One must realize for a great emperor to admit defeat, in countless eons, this was the very first time such a thing had occurred. What's more, it was an admission defeat before a mere quasi-emperor, which only made them gaze at Yu Ye with even greater disbelief and terror. The great emperor of chaos conspired with traitors of the human race, plotting to destroy my heavenly desolate continent, using the life origin of all beings within the heavenly desolate continent to replenish himself. As a quasi-emperor of the human race, it is only natural for me to protect humanity. Do you dare claim this is a misunderstanding? The 5 great emperors fell silent, each cursing inwardly. Why do these human race individuals always produce such fools who disregard everything for the sake of their race? No sooner had he finished speaking than Yue Ye's battle intent erupted like raging flames, seemingly unable to wait any longer to engage in battle. Great Emperor Ping Tian and the 4 other emperors narrowed their eyes. A mere quasi-emperor fearsome, but a quasi-emperor wielding a Supreme Tao Emperor armament was an entirely different matter. Had they not lived until now precisely for the sake of eternal life? Tell them to fight me to the death? How could they possibly dare? Otherwise, even Great Emperor Ping Tian would not have admitted defeat. After a moment of contemplation, the 4 great emperors had already made their decision. How laughable. Yoye, what if you possess an ultimate Tao Imperial armament? I am not like them. He was about to mock them and call for the others to join him in fully reviving, but before his words could finish, the Luangu Great Emperor's face turned ashen, for those 4 great emperors had already fled. Upon hearing that I was not seeking to fight them to the death, but merely aiming for the Luangu Great Emperor, they turned and left without the slightest hesitation. As for their reputation or dignity, how could they possibly care? If they were to care about their dignity, they would not have abandoned everything, hidden in the Forbidden Temple, and sealed themselves away, just to survive. After a long time, who would remember their loss of face? At this moment, life itself was paramount. The Luangu Great Emperor was so enraged that his eyes bulged and his tongue felt stiff, rendering him speechless. All the obstructing figures have retreated. Luangu, will you break your seal yourself? Or shall this emperor force you to break it? As a great emperor, do not let the entire cosmos witness your humiliation. Summon the prestige befitting your status as a great emperor and fight this emperor. Unlike the world of immortal cultivation, the Xuanhuan world is inherently born for battle. To fight is to become the strongest. To elevate one's strength and improve one's cultivation, the best method is ceaseless combat. I could achieve the rank of Quasi-Emperor within 500 years precisely because of endless battles, stepping upon the bones of the myriad race's heavenly talents and prodigies, advancing step by step to reach this day. If I could fight a great emperor, it will undoubtedly elevate me significantly. At this thought, I licked my slightly dry lips. I yearned for this challenge. Sensing my immense fighting intent, the Luangu Great Emperor fell silent. The next second, cracks began to appear across the surface of the divine origin, sealing the Luangu Great Emperor. In an instant, that potent Great Emperor aura surged through the cosmos, along with the shattering of the divine origin. The imperial might grew ever more formidable. A figure emerged from the void, step by step, a white-haired youth with a single horn adorning his head, and several faint scales upon his face. Compensate for my revival this time with your origin life essence, and an ultimate Tao Imperial armament, and you shall know the price of challenging a great emperor. No sooner had the words left his lips than the Luangu Great Emperor let out a thunderous roar, manifesting terrifying killing power as he began to fully revive. The next second, the Luangu Great Emperor, carrying boundless terrifying pressure, directly moved to attack me. The split character secret art. Facing a great emperor who had fully revived, I naturally harbored no hint of carelessness or arrogance. As the Luangu Great Emperor made his move, I held nothing back, directly employing my Tao-proving secret art, unleashing my full power. The split character formula could manifest countless clones. The more clones manifested, the lower the combat power of each clone. If fewer than 10 clones were manifested, each clone could possess 90% of the main body's combat power. With a soft cry, my body subtly shifted. 9 clones appeared beside me. Each one had already reached the aura of a quasi-emperor, possessing a mysterious and ancient charm. The array character secret art, the array character formula, could transform myriad methods in the world, condensing them into powerful formations. It could even stack formations upon one another. The incessant patterns of the array Tao manifested into threads of divine will and imprints, connecting me and each of my clones. One could vaguely perceive elements of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and many other profound intents manifesting within. In a flash, the 10 figures formed an array directly encircling and sealing the Luangu Great Emperor. Next, I began to unleash the last 3 secret arts with all my might. The movement character formula granted unparalleled speed, reaching its absolute limit, even capable of advancing against the flow of time. The Foresight character formula could deduce the past and future. In battle, it could predict an opponent's trajectory, anticipate their attacks, and even pinpoint their weaknesses. And the replenishment character formula took myriad methods as its furnace, transforming any energy into my own, ceaselessly replenishing my personal consumption. Although the 9-character secret arts were formidable, their consumption was also immense. Thus, the replenishment character formula was the core essential for wielding the 9-character secret arts. My battle halberd swung up and I could feel the array character secret art granting me immeasurable divine power. It seemed that beneath this single strike of mine, even time itself froze. With a slight movement, my form, empowered by the Xing character secret, vanished without a trace, yet simultaneously seemed to be everywhere. The Bing character secret augmented my combat strength, causing my essence, ki, and spirit to surge endlessly. The Du character secret evolved myriad techniques of the mortal realm, manifesting formidable grand arts and profound secret techniques, each evolution consuming immense energy. Yet, under the activation of the G character secret, countless black holes seemed to manifest on the surface of my body, devouring vast amounts of chaotic chi which were swiftly converted into replenishment. Confronted by my ceaseless layered assaults, the Luofu Great Emperor was instantly overwhelmed, unable to retaliate. Though his combat experience, sealed for countless years, was gradually returning, he still found it difficult to offer even the slightest resistance. In mere moments I had exchanged over 10,000 blows with the Luofu Great Emperor. The entire chaotic sea seemed to be turned upside down by our clash, and the Luofu Great Emperor was increasingly suppressed to his very limits by me. The terrifying shockwaves of our battle, each surge unleashed immense geomantic energy. Countless worlds, born from our conflict, shattered under the impact of our battle. As the battle relentlessly raged, the Luofu Great Emperor's combat experience fully recovered, yet he still struggled to resist my overwhelming offensive. The Luofu Great Emperor let out a furious roar, disregarding the cost of his lifespan, as he pushed his Great Emperor Dao Fruit to its absolute limit. I am a Great Emperor. I govern the heavenly heart, having proven the Dao Fruit of a true emperor. How can a mere quasi-emperor like you hope to contend against this emperor? This emperor has suppressed even other great emperors. My expression remained frigid, as if I were a true deity, looking down upon the Luofu Great Emperor. The J character secret. The J character secret allowed my wounds to heal instantly, even restoring my essence, chi, and spirit to their peak in a flash, rendering them almost immortal and unyielding. Even if my body were shattered, leaving only a single drop of blood, as long as my indomitable will remained, I could instantly revive. A radiant lifelight erupted, a streak of emerald green flashing from my form, and my wounds healed completely in an instant. My gaze turned profound, and from my lips the wondrous sound of the 9 combined characters echoed. Immediately, profound Dao runes swirled and evolved around me, as my aura reached an unparalleled ultimate peak. Luofu, your death will not be unjust. My terrifying power reached its absolute zenith in that moment. In an instant, the Luofu Great Emperor's expression changed, his mind and spirit trembling. Instinctively, the Luofu Great Emperor wanted to flee, but he knew he could not escape. To flee now would only hasten his demise. Just as his instinct screamed for him to escape, the Luofu Great Emperor forcibly reined in his body with sheer willpower. His expression completely calmed. Having been the sole individual to achieve the Great Emperor Dao in an entire era, how could the Luofu Great Emperor truly be so foolish as to flee in battle? Such an act would undoubtedly be tantamount to abandoning all defenses, simply awaiting his enemy's killing blow. Ye, you have forced my hand. Even if this emperor perishes in this battle, I shall make you understand the true might of a great emperor. Gritting his teeth, the Luofu Great Emperor, with a heart full of resolve, glared at me with a furious gaze and spoke. In an instant, the Luofu Great Emperor's aura surged dramatically. Following this, his face rapidly turned ashen, and his very aura began to exude a faint decaying scent. Let me show you why I was able to prove my Dao in this tumultuous era. Perhaps facing the precipice of life and death, the Luofu Great Emperor had finally cast aside all fear of mortality. His regal bearing returned, just as it had in ancient times when he once suppressed an entire era as a great emperor. Gazing toward me, the Luofu Great Emperor began forming intricate hand seals, uttering each word with grave solemnity. Myriad ages annihilated. With a thunderous roar, both of us simultaneously unleashed our most powerful attacks. A mere quasi-emperor suppressing a great emperor. Witnessing me and the Luofu Great Emperor locked in battle, countless powerful experts watched with eyes wide in shock and endless astonishment. Never had they imagined I could possess such strength. This individual is not a great emperor, yet he has already surpassed one. If he were to truly achieve the great emperor Dao, his power would become utterly unimaginable. Within the forbidden zones, the expressions of countless ancient great emperors shifted, their eyes growing incredibly solemn, even betraying a hint of apprehension. As if sensing the impending conclusion, seeing both me and the Luofu Great Emperor begin to unleash our ultimate techniques, countless experts suppressed all stray thoughts, immediately focusing their attention and stared intently at the two of us. Both the Luofu Great Emperor and I simultaneously unleashed our strongest attacks. All great Daos and established rules within the chaotic sea seemed to dissolve in that instant. Even while within the forbidden zones, even the ancient existences who had attained the great Emperor Dao fruit found it challenging to probe with their divine sense into the chaotic void where the two had clashed. Countless experts below the great Emperor realm couldn't help but instinctively unleash their divine senses. Yet before their probes could even approach, they groaned in pain, their auras dimming in succession. Who ultimately had emerged victorious? This burning question flashed through the minds of all observers. In that very moment, a series of heavy footsteps echoed. From the very edge where the chaotic void met the vast universe, a lone figure slowly emerged. The Eight Desolations purgatory halberd was tilted downwards, and from its tip drops of fresh blood slowly fell. The entire universe seemed to hold its breath, falling into an eerie silence in that moment. Although they had harbored premonitions, when they finally recognized my figure, the minds of all present went utterly blank, as if the reality was beyond their wildest expectations. From this day forth my voice boomed like thunder, "Those who plot against humanity shall perish." My gaze then swept across the boundless universe. Hearing these words, the countenances of all great emperors instantly turned grim. Ever since they had attained the realm of great emperors, they had commanded the pinnacle of the universe. Though many among them had self-sealed their divine origin, the fearsome reputation of their respective forbidden zones still resonated throughout the cosmos. Yet on this very day, a mere quasi-emperor openly dared to challenge great emperors in such a brazen manner. How utterly arrogant, how wildly presumptuous this was, yet not a single being dared to step forward and refute me, nor did anyone utter a word of reprimand. Meanwhile, I was seated cross-legged upon a colossal dead star, cultivating in secluded meditation, diligently digesting the profound insights gained from the recent cataclysmic battle. When I opened my eyes once more, I had already achieved a profound breakthrough, reaching the second heavenly layer of the Quasi-Emperor realm. At this precise moment, the cold mechanical notification of the system resonated directly within my mind. The Beidou Great Emperor secret realm within the Kangkyong starfield is on the verge of opening. The system requires its master to survive the perilous exploration of this secret realm and emerge victorious over the Child of Destiny. My movements instantly ceased, and a look of profound astonishment crossed my features. Had I not already eradicated the Child of Destiny, Wanghua? Could it be that yet another Child of Destiny has emerged? The Beidou secret realm was a place I had once journeyed to, back when my cultivation was merely in the Dao Sea realm. At its absolute peak, the secret realm's spatial capacity could only accommodate cultivators below the divine treasury realm. As I meticulously recalled its characteristics, a vivid image of the Beidou secret realm's layout emerged in my mind, and I subsequently fell into deep contemplation. Then how could I, a formidable quasi-emperor, possibly enter a secret realm that explicitly prohibits entry to any cultivator above the divine treasury realm? Fortunately, my identity as a quasi-emperor bestowed certain advantages. The corner of my mouth slowly curled into a knowing smirk. For a dignified quasi-emperor such as myself, why should entering a mere secret realm be met with such trivial complications? I felt a flicker of curiosity, wondering which Child of Destiny would emerge this time. And incidentally, I would seize this opportune moment to finally unravel the true nature of this enigmatic system. My eyes, now profound and ancient, gazed intently towards a specific corner of the vast universe. With several hours still remaining until the Beidou secret realm opened, I decided to first make a detour to another location. I was determined to clarify the true nature of this system within me and to ascertain whether any sinister plot was truly at play. Although this so-called villain system had indeed bestowed upon me an invaluable extremity Dao Emperor armament, after having lived in this profound fantasy world for 5 long years, how could I truly afford to be at ease concerning its deeper intentions? If the system had activated immediately upon my transmigration, perhaps my apprehension would be lessened. But now for a cultivator of my stature, this system was no longer of paramount importance. For now, I would merely ascertain the system's true nature and purpose. Only then would I proceed to the Beidou secret realm. It would be far from too late. Incidentally, it had been a considerable time since I last visited her. A beautiful ethereal figure flashed across my mind. With a single decisive step, I tore through the fabric of the void itself and vanished. In but a blink, I had manifested directly before the ominous Shenmo Forbidden Zone. As my gaze fell upon the Shenmo Forbidden Zone before me, vivid images of my previous treacherous journey within it flashed through my mind. I couldn't help but feel a profound surge of emotion. Indeed, if not for my entry into that Forbidden Zone, I gravely feared I would never have attained the achievements I possess today. 2 centuries ago, my cultivation had just barely reached the heavenly ladder realm. Yet once more, while being relentlessly pursued by powerful experts from the myriad races, I unexpectedly plunged into a chaotic torrent of spatial turbulence. When I finally regained consciousness, I discovered I had miraculously appeared within the Shenmo Forbidden Zone itself. It was precisely that harrowing experience that laid an indestructible, immortal foundation for my cultivation, truly allowing me to ascend to unparalleled heights in but a single monumental stride. In a mere 2 centuries, I had utilized my overwhelming power to suppress the myriad races, trampling upon the countless bones of my enemies, and ultimately attain the revered Quasi-Emperor realm. Discarding all distracting thoughts, I took a decisive step directly into the Shenmo Forbidden Zone. As I passed through a thin, shimmering barrier, the very landscape before my eyes rapidly warped and transformed. The very next second, I found myself transported into a desolate, dark world saturated with an oppressive, malevolent energy. Looking around, the sky was gloomy and the ground was charred black. This world resembled a decaying realm. Even the trees were black, with blood-red veins faintly visible, coiling around their trunks. The air was thick with an ominous aura and palpable killing intent, as if a single misstep could lead to one's demise at any moment. Senior Yoye has come to visit, requesting an audience. Taking a deep breath, I bowed deeply and spoke aloud. The moment my words ceased, ripples of space appeared around my body. Without resistance, I was immediately swallowed by the spatial ripples. In the distance, a majestic waterfall, seemingly a celestial river pouring from the heavens, endlessly emanated the profound charm of the great Tao. At the heart of the forest, a sea of flowers swayed gently in the wind, with a thatched hut standing majestically amidst the blossoms. It was a truly picturesque scene, transforming this world into a fairyland at first glance, much like a hidden paradise. Yet beyond the forest, a vast amount of chaotic and violent chi surged. Even though I had been here once before, upon witnessing this scenery again, I still couldn't help but be lost in thought and utterly astonished. Especially after reaching the Quasi-Emperor realm, I could now clearly perceive that each flower here contained a world within itself, truly aligning with the Buddhist saying, "One flower, one world, one leaf, one Bodhi. What is your purpose in seeking me?" Just as I was observing, a clear, cold yet serene voice echoed from behind me. I turned around to look, only to see a figure in white robes, graceful and composed, calmly gazing at me. This individual was none other than the master of the god-devil Forbidden Land. Her origins were unknown to all. It was only known that she was ancient beyond measure, and her interventions were so few they could be counted on one hand. Each time she acted, she suppressed or even slew a great emperor, her power so immense it defied description. And 200 years ago, when I had stumbled into this very god-devil Forbidden Land, it was she who saved me. That was also the only time I had been recognized as a transmigrator. It was precisely because of my identity as a transmigrator that she intervened to save me. Simply because she found it intriguing, she bestowed upon me several fortuitous opportunities. It was also due to her curiosity that I achieved my current accomplishments. Senior, I am profoundly grateful for your assistance 200 years ago. Without it, this junior would not be where I am today. I bowed deeply before Dizun and spoke with reverence. Dizun shook her head, telling me not to mind it, then gestured for me to sit opposite her. I spoke no more, obediently taking a seat on the wooden chair facing Dizun. That Journey to the West story? Dizun looked at me expectantly. I knew Dizun wanted to know the untold parts of the Journey to the West story, so I added, the complete version of Journey to the West, in exchange for the entire 9-character secret. Very well, I will tell you later, she responded, and help you complete your 9-character secret. Dizun nodded contentedly, a faint smile gracing her lips. Truth be told, though Dizun was unreasonably powerful, I always felt she possessed a certain endearing quality. I guessed it was because this empress had perpetually acted as a shut-in, caring little for worldly affairs, which occasionally made her seem a little naive. Speak, what is your purpose in seeking me out? If it were for nothing, you surely wouldn't have come to my abode. For some reason, I felt a hint of melancholy in Dizun's tone when she spoke those words. I then recounted to Dizun the sudden appearance of the system, hoping she could examine it for any potential issues. Upon hearing this, she spoke with a hint of interest, then reached out and made a grasping motion. A colossal stream of divine sense enveloped me, then immediately permeated my body. The next instant, Dizun retracted her hand, and a faint orb of light, its surface shimmering with countless ancient runes, appeared in her palm. This was actually the system's true form. How impressive! Dizun had in but a single second extracted the entire true form of the system. Dizun sensed the system's condition for a moment, then casually returned it to my body and spoke, I detect no malicious calculations or unusual properties within this object. It is likely not part of any scheme. Hearing this, I let out a soft sigh of relief. If there was no scheme, then I could finally rest assured. This was also why I dared to confidently let Dizun examine it without fearing she would covet my treasure. To be frank, Dizun was essentially a shut-in, a Buddhist-style recluse with a touch of social anxiety. If she desired a treasure, no one in the entire cosmos could contend with her for it, and she could ascend to the upper realm at any moment she wished. This was the conclusion I had reached after spending several days with the Immortal Venerable centuries ago. Is there anything else? The Immortal Venerable inquired. That is all. I shook my head. Is there truly nothing left? The Immortal Venerable murmured softly, then silently gazed at me, her expression filled with anticipation. It was then that I understood. Very well, I shall recount a tale now, I said with a smile. The Immortal Venerable nodded in delight. With a wave of her hand, a vast expanse of Taoist seals manifested, instantly freezing the flow of time across the entire realm. She knew I required undisturbed time to narrate, and thus sealed time for my sake. Recalling the general plot of Journey to the West, I began to slowly recount the tale. Having finished the entire narrative of Journey to the West and guided by the Immortal Venerable, I gained profound new insights into the 9-character secret. Thereupon, I immediately entered secluded cultivation right where the Immortal Venerable resided, beginning to organize and deduce my newfound understanding. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. I suddenly opened my eyes, a sharp glint of spiritual light flashing within them, my aura having grown even more profound and mysterious. The now complete 9-character secret could truly be called an imperial law in every sense. Even though I was merely in the second heaven of the Quasi-Emperor realm, I could now, without relying on an ultimate emperor armament, wield the 9-character secret to contend with a great emperor. I mused with exhilaration. After calming my surging emotions, I cast my gaze towards the Immortal Venerable, only to see her quietly seated on a wooden chair, sipping tea and seemingly lost in thought. Many thanks for your profound guidance, Senior. I rose, bowed respectfully before the Immortal Venerable, and expressed my gratitude. The Immortal Venerable shook her head, indicating that no thanks were necessary. After a moment's hesitation, she softly inquired, "Are there any other interesting tales? I have already consumed every story within this universe." As she uttered the last sentence, the Immortal Venerable's voice had dwindled to a whisper. Indeed, the Immortal Venerable was truly a recluse and tremendously idle, to have devoured all the scripts and stories from every civilization and world within the cosmos. I smiled and replied, "Naturally, there are many more. In my previous life, I was a veritable scholar, and the tales I have encountered are truly countless." Upon hearing this, the Immortal Venerable's eyes lit up. Yet, she merely picked up the teacup from the stone table, faint sip of tea, and seemingly casually uttered, "If you have free time, do come to my abode." Then, the Immortal Venerable raised her head, seriously adding, "I also possess knowledge of countless secret arts and divine abilities." I chuckled and readily agreed. Even if the Immortal Venerable had not spoken, I would surely have come. After all, the most powerful being in the entire cosmos was in all likelihood the Immortal Venerable herself. To neglect such an immense opportunity, to not seek guidance from such a formidable existence would be utter foolishness on my part. The Immortal Venerable nodded with satisfaction, then waved her hand, opening a spatial pathway leading me out of the divine demon forbidden grounds. I bowed once more in turn, preparing to depart. The Immortal Venerable watched my retreating back, pondered for a moment, then spoke. "If you intend to await the opening of the heavenly gate and ascend to the upper realm, then you must begin preparations now." I paused, then turned, gazing at the Immortal Venerable with a hint of doubt. "The upper realm is not as simple as mortals imagine. If you recklessly ascend, you will surely perish. You must make preparations beforehand. For example, establish some sort of power or faction." Hearing this, my pupils contracted. Puzzled, I immediately asked, "Senior, what connection do establishing a faction and self-preservation upon ascending to the upper realm have?" To this, the Immortal Venerable offered no further reply, merely lowering her head, as if she had discovered something immensely interesting. She lightly stirred her teacup. I understood then. The Immortal Venerable had truly picked up a mischievous habit. Fearing my future absence, she had laid a clever bait, ensuring I would return to seek answers. Good heavens, how could this Immortal Venerable be so endearing? I rubbed my nose with a wry smile, then bowed and turned to leave. The Beidou secret realm was soon to open, and many mighty powerhouses had already joined forces, constructing a vast platform before its entrance. A quick glance revealed the entire platform was packed with people. Numerous cultivators were abuzz with discussions, exchanging news and rumors. And the topic most frequently discussed by all was none other than his own deeds. After all, 3 years prior, his feat of suppressing an ancient, chaotic great emperor in a single battle had been truly earth-shattering. "Tianguang, you entered the Dao at the age of 5, opened your Dao Si at 10, and now not yet 20. You have already reached the peak of the blood refinement realm. This time, as long as you obtain the inheritance of the Beidou Great Emperor, the title of the next Yu Yi Great Emperor might very well fall to you." The sect master of the Ziwei Dao Palace looked at the young man before him and earnestly exhorted him. "The next Yu Yi Great Emperor." Jun Tianguang frowned, a hint of displeasure on his face. Within his heart, a trace of dissatisfaction and even hostility towards Yo Ye arose. He was merely born earlier than me, nothing more. What right does he have to compare himself to me? If Yo Ye Great Emperor and I had been born in the same era, that insignificant Yo Ye Great Emperor would have long since been suppressed by me. Master, I am myself, I am Jun Tianguang. How could I be merely another shadow? If the Beidou Great Emperor's inheritance falls into my hands, it would be an honor for him, for only I can truly expand and glorify his legacy. As for great emperors, everyone outside spreads rumors that this era is destined for only Yo Ye Great Emperor to achieve the Dao. Truly laughable. Give me a little more time, and I will surely be able to attain the Quasi-Emperor stage, and by then, who wins and who loses will still be unknown. This era can only have one great emperor, and that will be me. Jun Tianguang raised his head, speaking with arrogant confidence. He was born with innate celestial phenomena, and furthermore was blessed by heaven and earth. At just 5 years old, even before cultivating, he already possessed a perfect innate body tempering. By the age of 10, he had naturally opened his Dao Si, and now, he had even reached the peak of the blood refinement realm. Not only that, but the entire younger generation of the Tiangdu star had been suppressed by him. No one was his match. What is Yue Great Emperor even worth to be compared? If he hadn't forcefully suppressed his cultivation to enter the Beidou secret realm, he likely would have already reached the peak of the divine treasury realm by now. Yo Ye Great Emperor was merely born a little earlier. Otherwise, one wouldn't even be able to glimpse his shadow. Yes, my dear disciple speaks so wisely. As soon as this journey to the Beidou secret realm concludes, your reputation will surely resound throughout the entire cultivation world. In the future, surpassing Yue Ye Great Emperor will naturally be a foregone conclusion. After all, though Yue Ye Great Emperor is called a Great Emperor, in reality he is merely a Quasi-Emperor. The sect master of the Ziwei Dao Palace continuously nodded, lavishly flattering Jun Tianguang. Although he did not truly believe Jun Tianguang could compare to Yue Ye after all, since ancient times, countless individuals with exceptional talent and rapid cultivation in the early stages eventually faltered. How many of them could truly attain the Quasi-Emperor stage, let alone the revered title of Great Emperor? Only a fully matured monstrous talent is a true monster. Otherwise, they are nothing more than potential. But that didn't matter. It was merely a few coaxing words. What was the harm in that? What caliber is Yo Ye Great Emperor that he can even be compared to you, Tianguang? Truly laughable. Just give Yu Tianguang a little more time and surpassing Yue Great Emperor will undoubtedly be a foregone conclusion. Yu Tianguang possessed the inherent qualities of a great emperor. In truth, you are no different from that Yue. What Yue can achieve, you will undoubtedly achieve in the future. A group of Ziwei Dao elders also smiled broadly, one after another, speaking up to flatter and praise Jun Tianguang. Their thoughts were naturally the same as the sect masters. Coaxing a child, a little more exaggeration wouldn't hurt. After all, Jun Tianguang's talent was indeed terrifying. They genuinely relied on Jun Tianguang. Once he matured, he would elevate them to unprecedented heights. Thus, naturally, they had to flatter Jun Tianguang. There will be a day when I shall make it so this heaven cannot obscure my sight, this earth cannot bury my will, and all the gods and devils of the myriad heavens shall fight for me. When I emerge from the Beidou secret realm, my fame will surely resound throughout the myriad heavens. My path to invincibility will begin from that very moment. Jun Tianguang held his head high, chest puffed out, exuding a magnificent aura, one hand pointing to the sky, the other pointing to the earth. He spoke with arrogant pride. Thankfully, the high-ranking members of the Ziwei Dao Palace had already set up a restrictive barrier. Otherwise, if outsiders had heard his words, they would have been utterly mortified. Although inwardly they felt Jun Tianguo was truly a master of grand pronouncements, the high-ranking elders of the Ziwei Dao Palace still gave him thumbs up, proclaiming aloud, "Magnificent, truly magnificent, Jun Tianguo is magnificent." Meanwhile, the surrounding disciples of the Ziwei Dao Palace gazed at Jun Tianguo with even greater adoration and reverence. This only further ignited Jun Tianguo's resolve, making him feel as though he was on the verge of becoming invincible within the Beidou secret realm. The Beidou secret realm. As long as I obtain the inheritance of the Beidou Great Emperor, I shall be peerless. The greatest victor of this Beidou secret realm will be none other than me and me alone. He raised his head, looking forward as the void began to emit shimmering points of light. Jun Tianguo's eyes blazed, his heart filled with surging ambition as he mused, could this truly be the child of destiny? At the same moment, on the spatial layer above the platform, Yoye gazed at Jun Tianguo with a peculiar expression, thinking to himself, it's not as if he deliberately sought out the child of destiny. After all, there are too many people here. If he used his destiny sensing art on each one, how long would it take? This time he was fortunate, thanks to Jun Tianguo and the others constantly mentioning him, especially when Jun Tianguo spoke of him, with underlying malice and hostility. It would have been truly strange if Yoye hadn't sensed it. For a great emperor, wherever a thought is cast, knowledge can be attained throughout the entire universe. Merely uttering a great emperor's true name allows the great emperor to sense it within their heart. It was precisely for this reason that these individuals from the Ziwei Dao Palace dared to brazenly mention and slander him. After all, in their perception, though Yoye held the title of Great Emperor, he was merely a quasi-emperor, not yet having reached the realm where a mere thought could grant omniscience. However, it was a pity, for while that would typically be true in ordinary circumstances, Yoye possessed the Qian secret art. He could deduce both the past and the future. Merely mentioning his name was enough to be detected. That was naturally a fundamental ability. A heavenly chosen one, a child of destiny, is it? Given this situation, it seems to be the case. The Beidou secret realm opens the path to invincibility. A subtle curve appeared on the corners of Yoye's lips. A grand thought indeed, but it seems you will not be entering the Beidou secret realm. As if sensing something, Yoye turned his gaze towards the entrance of the Beidou secret realm. At the same time, everyone on the platform who had been buzzing with discussions also noticed something amiss. They turned to look at the Beidou secret realm, only to see the void, which had been emitting shimmering points of light, now manifesting a vast expanse of resplendent mist alongside phantoms of countless stars appearing one after another. Immortal melodies, divine laws, Tao rhymes, auspicious light. Countless auspicious phenomena swiftly emerged and transformed, while a tremendous amount of pure spiritual energy surged forth from the void, spreading in all directions. All who inhaled this pure spiritual energy felt their spirits invigorated, and even their very auras underwent a transformation, seemingly gaining no small benefit. In an instant, the phantom of an ancient yet resplendent, majestic yet magnificent world gradually began to coalesce from within the void. The Beidou secret realm. The Beidou secret realm is about to open. It's finally about to open. The Beidou secret realm is finally about to open. Haha, Beidou secret realm, I am coming. In that moment, everyone on the platform rose to their feet. A multitude of young cultivators were tremendously excited, their eyes burning with zeal, their breathing quickening, as they gazed towards the opening Beidou secret realm. What is there to be excited about? All of you are merely paving the way for my triumph. This Beidou secret realm was born for me. How could any of you possibly contend with me? Seeing the others so agitated, Jun Tianguo scoffed with disdain. Although he too felt a surge of excitement, his exhilaration stemmed from his imminent path to invincibility, already envisioning himself receiving the inheritance of the Beidou Great Emperor. Under the gaze of all, the phantom of the Beidou secret realm began to coalesce, and a stream of spatial power rapidly gathered. Very quickly, a vast and boundless spatial pathway instantly appeared within the void. The Beidou secret realm had opened. Just as all the powerful experts prepared to send their disciples into the Beidou secret realm, a lone figure suddenly appeared before its spatial pathway. The one who appeared was Yue. Great Emperor Yue. It's Great Emperor Yue again. Great Emperor Yue has arrived. As they clearly saw Great Emperor Yi standing before the spatial passage, everyone on the platform felt a tremor in their souls. Looks of disbelief were etched upon their faces, their minds momentarily blank, as if unable to react in time. We humbly welcome Great Emperor Yi. In the very next moment, they snapped back to reality, all shuddering before immediately bowing deeply before Yi, loudly exclaiming. Although Yoyi's aura was perfectly restrained, with no strange phenomena or oppressive might emanating from him, yet for some unknown reason, everyone felt a profound suppression originating from the very depths of their being. Even the Grand Saint Kings found it difficult to breathe. Was this the true majesty of Great Emperor Yue? A flicker of awe and reverence appeared in everyone's eyes, mixed with a hint of confusion and curiosity. Why had demonic chi suddenly appeared near Great Emperor Yue? However, Yoye paid no heed to those who were bowing and paying respects. With his gaze fixed upon the entrance of the Beidou secret realm, Yoye's expression grew slightly solemn. Within the Beidou secret realm, demonic chi was fluctuating, a negative current brimming with evil, chaos, and destructive violence. Other than demonic chi, Ye could not conceive of any other possibility. What could have happened within the Beidou secret realm? Taking a deep breath, Ye's gaze grew even more profound. If that were the case, then his plans would have to change. After a brief contemplation, Ye turned to face all the cultivators, calmly stating, "The Beidou secret realm is permanently sealed. You may all depart." What? The Beidou secret realm permanently sealed? Why would the Beidou secret realm, which was perfectly fine moments ago, be permanently sealed? As these words left his lips, all the cultivators displayed expressions of astonishment, their eyes filled with bewilderment. Then, as if a thought struck them, everyone's hearts trembled and their expressions grew strange. Could it be that Great Emperor Ye intends to monopolize the Beidou secret realm? Naturally, they dared not voice such a thought aloud, only harboring these nascent suspicions within their hearts. As for what everyone thought, Yue naturally cared little. He was a great emperor, his words were golden edicts, his commands absolute. Yue disdained to offer explanations. He merely glanced back at the Beidou secret realm, raising his hand, preparing to act. Precisely at this moment, a thunderous roar echoed across the platform. Great Emperor Yoye, do you truly intend to bully the weak and monopolize the Beidou secret realm? As these words fell, the entire platform plunged into a deadly silence. Many cultivators who were preparing to depart froze in stunned silence, expressions of shock plastered on their faces. They immediately turned towards the source of the voice, thinking, who could be so brazen as to challenge Great Emperor Yoye? One must know that this was the very individual who, as a quasi-emperor, had suppressed a true great emperor. Even Yoya paused, a smile that wasn't quite a smile appearing on his face as he turned to look at the speaker. The speaker was no stranger, it was none other than Jun Tianghua. One could see that the area around Jun Tianghua was utterly deserted. All surrounding factions had retreated far from the Ziwei Dao Palace's vicinity. Even the high-ranking members of the Ziwei Dao Palace were dumbfounded, their minds buzzing with chaotic thoughts. It's over. This time it's truly over. Did this brat truly believe all the exaggerated praises we had heaped upon him? This thought flashed through the minds of the Ziwei Dao Palace's sect master and the other elders. We beg Great Emperor Yue to appease his wrath. This humble disciple is still young and ignorant. He has offended the Great Emperor in some ways. We implore the Great Emperor for forgiveness. Feeling Yoye's gaze fall upon him, the sect master trembled all over, immediately falling to his knees and stammering nervously. The other elders also knelt one by one, their faces ghastly pale. As for the disciples of the Ziwei Dao Palace, they were frozen in absolute terror. Master elders, why do you all need to act like this? Are the words I speak not the truth? Great Emperor Ye, as a great emperor, could he truly contend for opportunities with us mere juniors? Jun Tianghua frowned, speaking in a cold tone. The sect master was nearly scared out of his wits, wishing he could forcefully shut Jun Tianghua's mouth. The group of elders also trembled ceaselessly, their scalps tingling with dread. All the cultivators stared as if they had seen a ghost, looking at Jun Tianghua with a mix of awe and bewilderment. Only one thought remained in their minds. Does this fellow always possess such boundless audacity? You claim this emperor bullies the weak through his power? How intriguing. As expected of a child of destiny, they are also reckless, treating the heavens as mere trifles. And now, you even try to morally bind this emperor. Yoye scoffed coldly in his heart, a hint of playful mockery appearing at the corner of his lips. Moral coercion? Do you truly believe I would fall for such a ploy? Do you genuinely take me for a naive, forgiving saint? This emperor shall contend for these fortuitous opportunities. What can any of you do about it? Do any of you have objections? Yaya spoke indifferently, his gaze sweeping across the entire platform. We have no objections. The cultivators bowed deeply, their voices echoing loudly. They were not as foolish as Jun Tianghua. To provoke a great emperor, was that not simply courting death? Jun Tianhua's face turned ashen, seething with rage both at these cultivators for not supporting him and at Yu Yi for seemingly lacking the demeanor of a true powerhouse. You are the great emperor of the human race. How can you contend for the fortuitous opportunities of us juniors? Great Emperor Yue, could it be that you fear our growth might threaten your standing, and thus you are afraid? Jun Tianhua, head held high and chest puffed out, roared loudly, his voice soaring and echoing resoundingly. The entire platform resounded with Jun Tianhua's ceaseless shouts, while the other cultivators were so terrified that their souls nearly scattered from their bodies. This time, even the thought of Jun Tianhua possessing any courage had vanished. All their faces turned ghastly pale. Audacious beyond measure, the high-ranking cultivators of Ziwei Dao Palace were furious, cursing one after another. Ziwei Dao Palace, your audacity truly knows no bounds, to cultivate such a rebellious and impious disciple. Huang Jishuan, I believe your Ziwei Dao Palace no longer needs to exist. Great Emperor Yue holds a noble status. How could he allow petty individuals like you to provoke him? You fledgling, still reeking of your mother's milk, dare to speak so presumptuously about a great emperor? Your audacity is truly staggering. Huang Jishuan, is your Ziwei Dao Palace actively courting death? Many cultivators could no longer remain calm. The powerhouses from various major forces spoke up one after another, roaring in fury. If you wish to court death, do not drag us down with you. Our minds are not yet addled, nor have we ever considered provoking a great emperor. In an instant, countless killing intents erupted and powerful Chiora surged forth, enveloping the area around Ziwei Dao Palace, seemingly intent on directly eradicating it. Jun Tiankua, do you know your transgression? The head of Ziwei Dao Palace, Huang Jishuan's face was ashen as he glared angrily at Jun Tiankua. Yet before he could finish speaking, Jun Tiankua interrupted him. What crime have I committed? So what if he is a great emperor? Can a great emperor make you lose your backbone and integrity? Can he make your backs and bend your knees? Jun Tiankua's voice soared, speaking with a defiant, imposing spirit. This was a madman, truly a lunatic, and one foolish to the extreme. Everyone present felt their scalps tingle with dread, their eyes wide and mouths agape. They had never expected such a person to exist in this world. You claim this emperor worries you will seize my position? You say this emperor bullies the weak? This emperor once suppressed the myriad races, elevated the prestige of our human race. Where were you then? This emperor also once resisted the beast tides, preventing the slaughter of our human race's living beings. Where were you then? This emperor even gathered the powerhouses of our human race, protecting its heaven-blessed talents so they could mature smoothly. Where were you then? I suppressed the myriad races, reigned as the sole great emperor, bestowed blessings upon the human race, and enlightened all living beings. When this emperor accomplished all these deeds, where precisely were you? Yoye gazed at Jun Tiankua, speaking a sentence with each step, his voice like rolling thunder. Like the beat of a war drum, his presence became even more majestic as Yu Ye suddenly appeared above Jun Tiankua's head. That final sentence, like a clap of thunder next to his ear, made Jun Tiankua instinctively recoil a step. Or perhaps you wished to claim that you were still young and had not yet had the opportunity to perform these deeds. Yue's eyes, cold and indifferent, fixed upon Jun Tiankua as he spoke calmly. Jun Tiankua seemed to be struck at his very core by Yue's words, his face instantly flushing crimson. This emperor is indeed monopolizing the Beidou secret realm. So what? Is it now the turn of a mere junior like you to lecture me? What standing do you possess, and what power do you wield to question this emperor? Are you worthy? In the path of cultivation, the strong are revered. Since this emperor is powerful, my words are the ultimate truth, the renowned dictum. If you are unconvinced, are you truly worthy of your defiance? Emperor Yaoya stated coldly, Emperor Yaoi Dao Palace has no such rebellious or unfilial disciples. This junior, on behalf of the Ziwei Dao Palace, formally expels Jun Tianqua from our sect. I implore Emperor Yaoya to bear witness. Huang Jishuan declared in a loud voice. Jun Tianqua stared at Huang Jishuan in disbelief, his face contorting into a hideous mask of rage. By what right do you expel me from the sect? You hounds, all of you are mere dogs of the great emperor. Ding, the son of fortune, has been expelled from his sect and suppressed by the host for the host's benefit. Congratulations, host, on completing the mission. The higher the mission completion, the greater the rewards received. The system's voice echoed in Yi Yu's ears. We, the various forces of the Kingjong Star Domain, hereby represent the Kingjong Star Domain in expelling Jun Tianqua. Should Jun Tianqua ever dare to step foot within the Qingxiong Star Domain, he shall be killed without mercy. At this moment, the powerful cultivators from various factions, having transmitted their messages, began to declare their stance one after another. In but a few breaths, the entire arena reverberated with the voices of these mighty experts. The entire Xuanhuan universe, all 99 star domains, spoke out, expelling Jun Tianqua. Before Emperor Yueya had even spoken, they dared not rashly move to slay Jun Tianqua themselves, yet to declare their own stance. And expel Jun Tianqua was well within their rights. They had no desire for Emperor Yueya to mistakenly believe they were aligned with Jun Tianqua. With no path to the heavens and no door to the earth, in just a few breaths, Jun Tianqua had become a common enemy, ostracized by the entire universe. In that instant, Jun Tianqua felt as if he had been struck by lightning, his entire body trembling, his face rigid and deathly pale. He had never imagined that merely questioning Yi Yu a few times would cost him such a heavy price. Why? Why is this happening? Clearly I was speaking for everyone's benefit. Why are these people treating me like this? Why are these people even helping Emperor Yueya? The son of fortune, due to the host, has been ostracized by the entire universe. His prestige has plummeted, and mission rewards are increasing. The system's voice continued to resonate. Observing the stunned Jun Tianqua, Ye Yu's expression remained impassive, yet inwardly he found it somewhat amusing. To attempt to morally kidnap him? Before absolute power, such schemes and tricks weren't anything more than a farce, truly laughable. Now, he was a Quasi-Emperor, and furthermore he had slain another Quasi-Emperor before the eyes of the entire universe. If Yi Yu had to deal with a minor son of fortune, he wouldn't even need to lift a finger. Countless others would eagerly do the work for him. How could he be like those villains in the novels he read in his previous life, still needing to engage in battles of wits and courage with the son of fortune, always shouting, It's all because of you. If I can't live well, neither can you. Jun Tianqua gazed at Yi Yu with bitter resentment. The rage and fear in his heart transformed entirely into malice directed at Yi Yu. At this moment, Jun Tianqua no longer cared that Yi Yu was a quasi-emperor while he was merely in the blood refinement realm. Yi Yu, do you truly believe yourself to be so mighty? If we were not in the same era, you wouldn't even be able to catch up to my shadow. I am Tian Shengsheng, possessing the spirit saint physique. Do you dare to suppress your cultivation realm and fight me? Jun Tianqua pointed at Yi Yu and roared loudly. He wanted to prove it. He wanted to prove to the entire universe that if they were at the same cultivation realm, even a quasi-emperor would be no match for him. Only then could he prove his worth. And only then could he survive. Jun Tie was clearly no fool. He understood his current predicament all too well. If at the same cultivation realm he could defeat Yi Yu, he would undoubtedly earn the respect and regard of all. At that point, even if various external powers targeted him, he would remain safe and unharmed. Perhaps this was even a grand fortuitous encounter, for without it his demise was assured. As for whether he could defeat Ye Yu, Jun Tianjie harbored not a single doubt. He possessed the innate talent of a great emperor. In the future, he was destined to become one. How could Yi Yu possibly be his opponent? Yi Yu, simply resign yourself to being a stepping stone for me. So long as we are at the same cultivation realm, how could you ever be my match? Jun Tianjie mused thus in his heart, yet no sooner had these thoughts settled, Yi Yu merely cast a fleeting glance at the pressure of the Quasi-Emperor. With merely that single glance, Jun Tianjie instantly turned to ash, utterly annihilated by Yi Yu, not even a trace of his true spirit remaining. Fool Yi Yu shook his head, his expression utterly tranquil. To contend with me at the same realm, do you truly believe you are worthy? What are you even? Did you truly imagine that I would simply accommodate your every word? How truly shameless, a swift death is all you deserve. The very next second, a deep rumble resonated through the void. Thunderclouds dark and ominous gathered from the cosmic expanse, a heavenly tribulation poised to descend. Begone! Ye Yu's eyes flashed with chilling light as he roared, an unseen immense power erupting from his being. In an instant, the heavenly tribulation in the cosmic void receded with the swiftness of a retreating tide. The will of the heavens themselves recoiled, utterly daring not to inflict punishment upon Yi Yu. Ding! The son of destiny has been slain by the master. The master has completed the mission beyond expectations. The level-up gift pack is currently being enhanced. The level-up mission has been settled. Congratulations, Master, for completing the level-up mission. Does the Master wish to open the grand level-up gift pack? These system notifications resounded one after another beside Yi Yu's ear. Open Yi Yu uttered silently. Ding, congratulations, Master. You have received the Immortal Demonic Undying Scripture System. No sooner had he spoken than an image flashed before Yi Yu's eyes, materializing directly in front of him. The Immortal Demonic Undying Scripture, a peerless, unique divine manual. Cultivating it to its pinnacle allows one to transcend time and space, gathering true spirits, becoming indestructible through countless calamities, eternally undying. Preconsecant for cultivation. Refine an imprint related to a true demon or true immortal, and condense a true demonic physique or a true immortal physique. If both are refined, one can condense the immortal demonic undying physique, breaking free from the great thousand worlds, unbound by yin-yang and the five elements. This peerless and singular divine manual can only be cultivated by an individual who refines both the true demonic and true immortal imprints. A flicker of light appeared in Yi Yu's eyes as he gazed towards the entrance of the Beidou secret realm. The Beidou secret realm seemed to harbor demonic qi. Would it be suitable for the requirements of his new cultivation technique? Sensing the profound imprint already condensed within his sea of consciousness, Ye Yu did not immediately delve into the immortal demonic undying scripture. Instead, he turned to face the cultivators, stating calmly, "All of you, retreat further away." The cultivators were stunned, a realization flashing in their minds. They hastily acknowledged his words, then one by one left the arena and retreated into the distance. Ye Yu gazed towards the Beidou secret realm, his eyes profound. A mysterious aura surged from his being. He raised his hand, channeling a divine power, and the terrifying aura of a Quasi-Emperor slowly awakened from within him. The Beidou secret realm possessed restrictive rules. Only those below the divine repository realm could enter. Should a powerful expert attempt to force their way in, the Beidou secret realm would simply collapse. Even as a Quasi-Emperor, Ye Yu could not directly circumvent this. However, while a Quasi-Emperor could not force entry, that did not mean a Quasi-Emperor had no way to enter. His method was simple. If there were restrictive rules, then he would refine the secret realm itself and change those rules. He extended his hand and a horrifying pressure erupted from Yi Yu's being. His palm seemed to have formed naturally from the cosmos itself. A boundless flow of Tao principles permeated him, every inch of his flesh seemed crafted by heaven and earth, utterly without blemish. Furthermore, the profound sounds of Taoist principles, undulating and resonant, emerged as if formed by the Tao itself, containing the very truths of the great Tao. They were ineffably mysterious, almost as if a mere glance could inspire countless epiphanies. It was as if his palm was an extension of the great Tao's rules. In that instant, the very universe seemed to tremble beneath the aura emanating from Yi Yu's palm. Countless celestial bodies quaked under this immense aura, causing layers of the void to collapse. As talismans and Taoist patterns flashed from his palm with a mere thought, his hand plunged into the void, slowly closing. A vast ripple of energy rapidly spread in all directions across the expansive space. From within that void, Ye Yu slowly drew forth a sphere. Upon closer inspection, one could discern a complete miniature world contained within this sphere. It was none other than the Beidou secret realm. Holding the stars in his hand, bearing the universe in his palm, Ye Yu gazed upon the secret realm. He then released his divine sense, directly enveloping the Beidou secret realm, and began to refine it. Each talisman conjured by Ye Yu's thought condensed from the void one after another, then merged into the sphere of the secret realm. Soon, a flash of light emanated from the surface of the secret realm sphere. The Beidou secret realm, offering no resistance, was effortlessly refined by Ye Yu. With a slight movement, he stepped directly into it. The space around him warped and shifted as if the very constellations had realigned. What greeted Ye Yu's eyes was a world suffused with deathly aura. Throughout the heavens and earth, dark tendrils of black chi drifted ominously. Ye Yu hovered in the void, looking down. He saw that every living being within this secret realm had been completely demonized. Without exception, their eyes glowed blood red, endlessly slaughtering one another. The pungent stench of blood permeated the void amidst chaotic disorder and savage madness. Waves of violence permeated every corner of this land. This was without a doubt demonic ki. Strangely, in this universe, the concept of demons explicitly referred only to demonic cultivators, with no actual demon race known to exist. Yet the state of these creatures resembled the demon race described in the novels he had read in his past life. Could this phenomenon not be a product of this universe, but instead linked to the upper realm? Yi Yu's brow furrowed as the words of the great emperor suddenly echoed in his mind. Dispelling all distracting thoughts, Yi Yu cast his gaze towards the deepest reaches of this world. The demonic chi originated from that very spot, and that place was precisely where the legacy of the Beidou Great Emperor lay. The legendary Beidou Imperial Palace was said to hold the inheritance of the Beidou Great Emperor. Several hundred years ago, Yi Yu had indeed visited this very place. Yet, just like countless other cultivators who entered each time the secret realm opened, he ultimately lacked the destined affinity with the Beidou Great Emperor's legacy. Within the Dao Palace, numerous trials awaited akin to formidable gates to be surpassed. Each layer had to be completed sequentially to reach the ultimate destination. But now, having achieved the Dao fruit of a Quasi-Emperor, Yi Yu naturally no longer needed to endure every single trial, as his weaker self did hundreds of years ago. Instead, he forcefully tore open the void. Descending directly into the core of the Beidou Imperial Palace, he beheld a white-haired youth sitting cross-legged within its innermost chamber. Wisps of dark smoke emanated from his body. Dark, intricate patterns had already manifested across his skin. The surrounding void was being assimilated by the youth, as if on the verge of transforming into a demonic abyss. His oppressive aura seemed to permeate every corner of this space. If an ordinary cultivator were here, even a great saint would fear instantly falling into depravity, transforming into an irrational demonic creature. The Beidou Great Emperor's divine sense incarnation. Yi Yu waved his hand, sealing off the space around himself. Then, gazing at the youth, he immediately recognized his true identity. A mere divine sense incarnation in the lower realms could already be considered a peak expert. A projection formed from a remnant soul imprint. The changes within the Beidou secret realm were indeed connected to the Beidou Great Emperor. This discovery was truly significant. Feeling a fervent yearning emanating from the immortal demon undying scripture imprint within his sea of consciousness, Yi Yu's eyes lit up. For a divine sense incarnation to undergo such a transformation, it was indeed deeply connected to the true devil seal. Then this shall be easy. Just as Yi Yu prepared to suppress the divine sense incarnation, it suddenly seemed to sense his presence. It powerfully opened its eyes, a pair of pitch-black pupils fixing upon Yi Yu. A cold, violent killing intent immediately erupted from the divine sense incarnation, accompanied by the aura of countless dead beings. A dry, hoarse voice rasped from its mouth. As the words died in the air, the divine sense incarnation directly transformed into a swirling mass of black clouds, surging menacingly towards Yi Yu. Extending his hand, the Eight Desolations Purgatory halberd materialized in Yi Yu's grasp. The supreme imperial weapons might began to revive, and the halberd slashed out as if splitting heaven and earth. Its sharp blade tore fiercely towards the black clouds. The terrifying power caused the Beidou secret realm to tremble violently. The black clouds vanished in an instant, only to reappear from within the void, relentlessly surging towards Yi Yu once more. What manner of monstrosity is this? It cannot be slain, and its aura is vaguely close to that of a great emperor. Yi Yu's brow furrowed. His spiritual sense reaching out into the unseen returned a chilling warning. This entity could not be physically grasped or defeated. I have already slain a great emperor. If I cannot even fell a mere demon, then let us truly see. As Ye Yu lightly stretched his body, a searing battle intent erupted within his eyes. Cultivators are born for battle, to fight without end, to break through without ceasing. This is the ultimate path of cultivation. If this situation proves difficult to resolve, then a true battle it shall be. He would transform this divine thought into the very foundation for his breakthrough to the third heaven of the Quasi-Emperor realm. The Jumi resonated, and with the augmentation of the Lin character secret, his aura erupted forth. The Dao character secret manifested myriad wondrous laws of the heavens. Stacking these techniques, Yi Yu unleashed his full power, attacking the world beyond the dark clouds within the cosmos. Witnessing Yi Yu enter the Beidou secret realm, the cultivators mistakenly believed the matter was concluded and began discussing Jun Tianjie. They ultimately arrived at a unanimous conclusion. Absolutely, under no circumstances should one accept disciples with unsound minds, no matter how profound their innate talent might be. It was truly terrifying, utterly horrifying. A single moment of carelessness could spell disaster for an entire sect. Just look at the Ziwei Daogong. Though Great Emperor Yoya remained silent, there was no doubt. The Ziwei Daogong was undoubtedly doomed. The silence of those at the pinnacle did not mean those beneath them would cease to speculate. In this new epoch, if the other great orthodoxies were to truly spare the Ziwei Daogong, then something truly sinister would be at play. The members of the Ziwei Daogong knew full well in their hearts that their recent departure was, without question, an attempt to devise a strategy to minimize their impending losses. Just as the cultivators were conversing, a sudden thunderous explosion echoed from the void. Worldly power surged violently, the primal elements of earth, wind, water, and fire rapidly manifested, and turbid and clear chi surged forth in all directions. Two figures then directly materialized within the cosmos. One was Great Emperor Yueya, but why did the other figure so closely resemble the divine thought manifestation of Great Emperor Beidou? Great Emperor Beidou's state, however, seemed far from stable. Demonized, Great Emperor Beidou has fallen into demonization. All present were initially stunned into silence. Instinctively, they gazed towards the raging battle. As the situation became clear, the cultivator's pupils constricted and expressions of profound astonishment etched themselves onto their faces. This is ill. In the very next instant, the cultivators reacted, immediately fleeing into the far distance. A wild, rampant power spread in all four directions. The meteorite region of the Beidou secret realm instantly crumbled into dust as more and more spatial rifts began to spread. The void itself, like a shattered mirror, developed countless cracks before utterly collapsing. A few unfortunate cultivators, unable to flee far enough, were instantly reduced to ash by merely touching the aftershocks. Not even a single scream could escape their lips. Amidst his battle with the divine thought manifestation, Yi Yu witnessed this devastation. Frowning, he swung his 8 Desolations Purgatory Halberd, tearing through the cosmic barrier and vanished directly into the Hundun Hai. The crazed divine thought manifestation, seeing this, roared like a wild beast and immediately gave chase. Witnessing Great Emperor Yaya lead the divine thought manifestation away from the cosmos, the frantically fleeing cultivators paused, their faces still etched with terror and universally pale, their hearts still gripped by an icy fear. The divine thought manifestation had fallen into demonization. How fortunate! How utterly fortunate! Fortunately, their sect disciples and the Beidou secret realm were spared. Otherwise, wouldn't that mean? A chilling realization flashed through every mind, immediately stiffening their expressions. They reacted, their bodies trembling uncontrollably. So this was the true reason Great Emperor Yueya had prevented the younger generation from entering the Beidou secret realm. Everyone suddenly understood, feeling a deep sense of shame. In their hearts, they were immeasurably grateful to Yu. Their contempt and derision towards Juntianjie intensified. An utter fool he was, daring to presumptuously second-guess Great Emperor Yoya. How could he have known Great Emperor Yoya's intentions were to save him? He truly deserved his fate. Within the Hundun Hai, Ye Yu, of course, remained oblivious to the speculations of others. Yet even if he knew, he would not have cared. After battling the divine thought manifestation for several minutes, Ye Yu gradually gained a deeper understanding of its true state. It merely possessed an almost immortal characteristic. Its power was not significantly enhanced. Moreover, due to the influence of the demonic qi, it lacked true consciousness, and its actual combat prowess could not be fully unleashed. Yet it proved impossible to annihilate. Could he perhaps utilize the Ju Mi, combined with the 8 Desolations Purgatory Halberd, to imprison it and then utterly obliterate it? After a brief moment of contemplation, Yi Yu formed a series of intricate hand seals, and ancient talismans materialized, swirling around him. With a soft cry of seal, the 8 Desolations Purgatory Halberd in his hand transformed into a roaring black dragon, charging towards the divine thought manifestation. With a sword-like finger, countless talismans at Yi Yu's command pierced through space, enveloping the divine thought manifestation from all directions. A mysterious and divine aura rapidly surged forth as each talisman spread out to form, manifesting into countless divine seals, completely sealing off the divine thought manifestation. It was tightly imprisoned, unable to move a single inch. The black dragon roared, lunging fiercely at the divine thought manifestation. If it cannot be annihilated, then I shall slay you 10,000 times over. Yi Yu refused to believe that a mere being of the Quasi-Emperor realm could truly be immortal and unkillable. His movements were sharp, his voice like thunder, and his vital essence blazed like a furnace. As the 8 Desolations Purgatory Halberd unleashed its might, the will of the Senluo 8 Desolations seemed to transform into fuel, burning through heaven and earth. Let alone the divine sense incarnation itself, the very void within its prison seemed to be consumed by this blazing inferno. Countless strands of chaos chi dissipated instantly, as if undergoing a turbulent restructuring. Boundless Tao will rose and fell, manifesting into myriad wondrous and profound phenomena. Facing the sealing power of the 9 secrets and the suppression of the 8 Desolations Purgatory Halberd, the divine sense incarnation was utterly powerless to resist. It continuously cycled between revival and destruction. One must understand even a great emperor was no match for Yi Yu. How much less a divine sense incarnation whose strength was merely at the Quasi-Emperor realm. Moreover, it had been corrupted, losing all rationality. In just a few breaths, the divine sense incarnation was refined 10,000 times over. As if sensing something, a light flickered in Yi Yu's eyes. He waved his hand, dissipating the 9 secret seal and the 8 Desolations Purgatory Halberd. The black dragon manifestation flew back towards Yu, transforming once more into the battle halberd and settling into his grasp. With a mere thought, Yu instantly sealed off this entire area. The numerous cultivators who had been secretly observing the situation here immediately found their visions obscured, unable to peer into the happenings within the sea of chaos. Fellow Taoist, look ahead, Yu said with a smile. This time, as the divine sense incarnation restructured, the demonic energy on its body had completely vanished. Its pitch-black pupils had returned to normal, and its gaze became clear and lucid. Beidou offers profound thanks, fellow Taoist. Had you not continuously suppressed the demonic energy, I fear I would never have regained consciousness. The divine sense incarnation of Great Emperor Beidou revealed a bitter smile. He sighed and bowed respectfully to Yu. Fellow Taoist, there is no need for such ceremony. I too once received a kindness from you. To be able to assist you now is truly my honor, one I would not dare refuse. Yu raised a hand, an invisible force gently lifting Great Emperor Beidou. Ah. Great Emperor Beidou suddenly understood and reacted. Yu had once entered the Beidou secret realm. A smile immediately appeared on his face as he joyfully declared, to be able to help the human race, to see such a powerhouse like fellow Taoist emerge from our ranks. This is truly excellent, excellent indeed. Fellow Taoist, please, let us sit and speak. Yu waved his hand, condensing 2 meditation cushions from the chaos chi. My will is soon to dissipate, fellow Taoist. Is there anything you wish to ask me? Simply ask. I shall speak of whatever I know without concealment. Understanding Yu's intention, Great Emperor Beidou decisively sat down and gently asked, fellow Taoist, what is the meaning of all this? Yu then sat on the other cushion. Without further pleasantries or wasting time, Yu directly cut to the main issue. This tale must begin millions of years ago. Great Emperor Beidou showed no surprise at Yu's question, a trace of reminiscence appearing in his eyes. Great Emperor Beidou sighed and began to speak. After a moment of contemplation, Great Emperor Beidou looked at Yu and said, fellow Taoist, do you know that in the era when I attained the Tao of a great emperor, the heavenly heart had not yet been born? The heavenly heart had not yet been born? Yu's pupils constricted and a sharp glint flashed in his eyes. He vaguely understood the reason for Great Emperor Beidou's fall into demonic cultivation. The so-called heavenly heart is in fact the ultimate authority condensed by the rules of the universe. Heavenly heart, the heart of the heavens, the core of the cosmos. This is the true meaning of the heavenly heart. To attain great emperor status, one must draw the rules of heaven and earth into their body, condensing them to achieve that pinnacle. This point was similar to the ancient era novels Yu had read in his previous life, where attaining sainthood followed a comparable path. To become an emperor, one needed the heavenly heart, just as a saint required the grand mist purple chi to achieve sainthood. Yet Great Emperor Beidou had directly become an emperor before the heavenly heart was even formed. The implication of this was self-evident. Undoubtedly, Great Emperor Beidou had paid a certain price to achieve his emperor status, and this price was intimately linked to demonic energy. Fellow Taoist, have you already guessed it? That year, I was originally awaiting the birth of the heavenly heart, intending to use it to attain the Tao and become an emperor. Who would have thought that a dark turmoil would erupt, with many ancient great emperors seeking to harvest the living beings of myriad realms? Their life origins were targeted and the human race plunged into a desperate situation. Although I was a quasi-emperor, it was difficult to truly contend against a great emperor. At that moment of powerlessness and despair, I suddenly sensed the upper realm. Great Emperor Beidou slowly narrated, speaking of the upper realm. Yu's brow furrowed. Demonic energy, is it indeed connected to the upper realm? It cannot exactly be called the upper realm, but rather a spatial rift connecting this universe to the upper realm. From within that spatial rift, I obtained a wisp of demonic energy. And in my perception, that substance was indeed called demonic energy. It was precisely by relying on it that I attained Great Emperor status. However, to use demonic energy to attain the Tao of a great emperor, a price must be paid. His essence, chi, spirit, and lifespan would be devoured by the demonic chi. Once he could no longer suppress the demonic chi, it would seize control of his very mind, turning him into a mere puppet of the malevolent force. Yet, despite these numerous hidden dangers to save humanity, the emperor at that time could not afford such concerns. His original plan was to first achieve Tao enlightenment and become an emperor to resist the chaotic darkness. Once the darkness was dealt with, he would either peacefully disperse his cultivation or perish with the foreign race's great emperor in a self-destructive blast. In the end, he had still underestimated the demonic chi. With a sigh, the Beidou great emperor continued. He perished alongside the foreign race's great emperor, yet the demonic chi seized that very opportunity, making it difficult for him to preserve this divine sense manifestation. For these countless years, he has been suppressing the demonic chi, and the result, fellow Taoist, you have already witnessed. It became clear that over these past 100 years, the Beidou Great Emperor had found it increasingly difficult to resist the demonic chi, ultimately succumbing to its mind-controlling influence. Had Yu not appeared, it is feared that the Kongqiang star domain, and perhaps even the entire universe, would have plunged into utter chaos. The perilous nature of this demonic chi was as clear as day to Yu. Powerful cultivators might still be able to resist, but for the countless sentient beings, there would be no resistance whatsoever. The living beings within the Beidou secret realm were all under the oppressive influence of the demonic chi emanating from the Beidou Great Emperor's divine sense manifestation. What horrifying consequences would ensue if this demonic divine sense manifestation were to appear in the wider universe? Such a question needed no answer. Fellow Taoist, if you intend to ascend to the upper realm, you must proceed with utmost caution and vigilance. It is feared that a great calamity has befallen the upper realm, not only because demonic chi has seeped through spatial rifts but also because its origin is directly from the upper realm itself. To see the ocean in a drop of water, one can deduce the dire state of the upper realm today. Fellow Taoists, do not underestimate this demonic chi. This demonic chi is anything but simple. What I received was merely a wisp of the demonic chi's residual imprint. A mere residual imprint could affect a great emperor. The true demonic chi would be unimaginably terrifying. I hope, fellow Taoist, you do not take this lightly. The Beidou Great Emperor earnestly warned. I understand. Yi Yu nodded slightly. Even an existence as mighty as an emperor had issued such a solemn warning to Yi Yu. How could Yi Yu possibly disregard the demonic chi? He did not possess the typical flaws of a son of destiny, which was indeed fortunate. Though I fall, I must trouble you, fellow Taoist, to suppress this demonic chi in my stead. Beidou thanks you once more. The Beidou Great Emperor rose, bowed deeply towards Yi Yu, and then turned his gaze towards the void. His eyes seemed to pierce through the planetary walls and into the cosmos beyond. His gaze grew somewhat hazy, and he uttered a soft, murmuring whisper to himself. May my human race? Before his final words had fully faded, the divine sense manifestation of the Beidou Great Emperor began to flicker, appearing ethereal, as if it could no longer hold on and was on the verge of complete dissipation. Watching the Beidou Great Emperor begin to vanish, Yi Yu solemnly bowed towards him, then quietly waited. Swiftly, the Beidou Great Emperor completely dissipated. A wisp of black mist radiating a mysterious and ominous aura, brimming with extreme malevolent chi, emerged from the void where the divine sense manifestation had vanished. It ceaselessly churned, seemingly sensing Yi Yu's presence. The demonic chi subtly pulsed, then immediately shot directly towards Yi Yu. You still wish to influence this emperor. Activating the 9 secrets, he intoned Lin Bing Do J J Zhen Lai Qian Xing. This line is part of the previous line's incantation, so it's included there. Before Yi Yu, 9 ancient characters solidified into form, carrying a profound, ancient, and suppressive aura. Each talismanic rune seemed to be a manifestation of the great Tao itself, revealing principles that were both mysterious and eternal. A single glance was enough to inspire countless insights within one's heart. With an outstretched hand, the 9 runes instantly transformed into a formidable prison, firmly sealing the demonic chi within. He then withdrew his hand. The now sealed demonic chi was then collected by Yi Yu. What then had truly transpired in the upper realm? After a moment of contemplation, Yi Yu tore open the void. Returning to the main universe, he set his sights on its deepest reaches. He would first cultivate this immortal devil indestructible scripture to introductory mastery. Only then would it be time to seek out the Earth Venerable. What calamity had truly befallen the upper realm? That answer, he knew, could only be provided by the Earth Venerable. Deep within the cosmos, in a starfield where universes crumbled and stars lay shattered, Yi Yu sat cross-legged upon a fragmented colossal star, his eyes gently closed. With a single thought, he activated the immortal devil indestructible scripture. A faint luminescence emanated from its primordial imprint, and a torrent of information instantly flooded Yi Yu's mind. Vast and boundless like mist and ocean, this deluge of knowledge caused even Yi Yu, a mighty Quasi-Emperor, to emit a soft groan under its crushing impact. Only after a long while did Yi Yu open his eyes once more, a profound shock now etched within their depths. What a terrifying cultivation technique. Yi Yu drew a deep breath. To have ascended to his current stage, he had naturally cultivated numerous techniques, many of which were powerful emperor scriptures. Yet, even the mightiest emperor scriptures paled in comparison to this immortal devil indestructible scripture, appearing as mere specks of dust beside it. The profound depths of its teachings proved far more terrifying than the system's initial description had implied. Should one successfully condense the imprints of both a true immortal and a true devil into a single being, they could forge the legendary immortal devil indestructible body. Once formed, this body would be immortal and indestructible, possessing an endless lifespan, nigh impossible to eradicate, and even harder to suppress or slay. Beyond this, the immortal devil indestructible scripture meticulously recorded countless divine abilities and esoteric techniques. Each was incomparably terrifying, a grand art whose profound mysteries defied verbal description. As the scripture described the true immortal imprint, Yi Yu let out a slow breath, a glint flashing in his eyes. Given these revelations, how could Yi Yu not harbor suspicions about his very own system? He was neither a fool nor an imbecile. His first mission had granted him an extreme Tao Emperor armament, which had proven crucial in his defiance and defeat of great emperors. The second, this immortal devil indestructible scripture, coincidentally led to him acquiring demonic chi. To claim no connection between these events would be sheer delusion. Even a simpleton would find such a notion unbelievable. Yi Yu was convinced that an immortal artifact would inevitably appear in the future. Otherwise, why would the system have bestowed upon him the immortal devil indestructible scripture? All he needed to do was wait. He simply needed to ensure the system remained harmless to his person. First, he would utilize demonic chi to forge the very foundation of the immortal devil indestructible scripture, achieving introductory mastery and condensing a true devil body. As countless thoughts flashed through Yi Yu's mind, he swept his palm, and a surge of demonic chi manifested within his grasp. With eyes gently closed, Yi Yu circulated the immortal devil indestructible scripture, commencing the refinement of the demonic chi. Meanwhile, as Yi Yu entered secluded cultivation to master the immortal devil indestructible scripture within the universe's deepest reaches, in the Azure Sky starfield adjacent to the Firmament starfield within the Luoxia Sect's outer peak on the Azure Sky main planet, a young man abruptly bolted upright from his bed. His face was a mask of unresolved terror, his forehead slick with sweat as he gasped for breath. Had I not already perished? Where in the heavens am I? As he gazed around in bewilderment, a flicker of profound doubt ignited in the young man's eyes. As he carefully scrutinized his surroundings, the young man's body trembled, an expression of uncertain astonishment spreading across his features. Why does this place so closely resemble my former abode? This was the humble outer disciples' dwelling of the Luoxia sect. A sudden thought striking him, the young man raised his hands to examine them. Then he hastily sprang from his bed and rushed to a nearby bronze mirror. This visage confirmed it. He was indeed within the Luoxia sect. He had, astonishingly, returned 1,000 years into the past back to the ancient profound universe before the great tribulation of the heavens descended. Staring at his reflection in the bronze mirror, the young man's eyes grew progressively brighter. His face contorted into an expression of ecstatic joy as he clenched his fists tightly. A surge of overwhelming emotion welled within the young man. Such immense astonishment rendered the young man incapable of fully recovering his senses for a considerable time. He had truly been reborn. This is truly marvelous, absolutely marvelous. I possess knowledge of every fortuitous encounter that will manifest in the coming millennium. Now that I've returned 1,000 years into the past, do not all these opportunities belong solely to me? With such preordained opportunities, I shall undoubtedly ascend to the Tao and achieve emperorhood. Yet before the words could fully escape his lips, a singular figure materialized in the young man's mind. A flicker of deep apprehension crossed his eyes, and his surging excitement rapidly cooled. No, even with these countless fortuitous encounters, it seems I may not definitively achieve emperorhood. That person was simply too powerful, too terrifying. He not only dominated an entire era, but the very great chaos of the upper realm was single-handedly averted and stabilized by him. Had time not been an insurmountable constraint, perhaps he alone could have suppressed the entirety of the upper realm. Could I truly be his opponent? Even having returned 1,000 years into the past, it seems I cannot change anything. A look of profound despair and loss haunted his face. The young man felt a wave of terror simply by recalling that figure. Even 1,000 years later, he had only reached the peak Quasi-Emperor stage, yet compared to that individual, the disparity was immense, like the light of a firefly against the brilliance of the full moon. What good were future opportunities? The young man clearly understood before absolute power. So-called opportunities were merely auxiliary forces, not the decisive factor. Reborn into a new life, must he still live beneath that person's shadow? If so, what was the meaning of his reincarnation? If he could become a great hero, why could he not? Filled with unwillingness, the young man clenched his fists so tightly that blood began to seep from his palms. As he pondered, a flash of insight struck him, and a sinister thought began to form in his mind. Wait, if he lives, I can only exist in his shadow. But what if he dies? What if he perishes? Reborn into this life, possessing the memories of 1,500 souls, if that person were to die, who else could truly be his opponent? Who could possibly stand against him? The more the young man thought, the more logical it seemed. The more he pondered, the more he was filled with boundless excitement. Yes, he must die, he has to die. If that individual does not perish, the position of emperor will undoubtedly be theirs. If that were the case, even if he knew of countless more fortuitous encounters, it would be useless. The emperor's seat was limited. In the same era, a second great emperor could fundamentally not be born. But if that person dies, then everything would be different. Once he achieved the Tao of a great emperor, then all those myriad opportunities could be utilized by him. By then, he would undoubtedly grow even more terrifying than that individual. Ye Yu, oh Ye Yu, it's not that I wish for your demise, but truly you have blocked my path, and indeed the path of all living beings. Only with your death can the heavenly heart be with me. Only with your demise can I lead the myriad heavens and 10,000 realms and overturn the upper realm. I act for the sake of all beings across the heavens, not for personal gain. Therefore, Ye Yu, you would do well to die. His eyelids trembled slightly, a flash of murderous intent glinting in his eyes. The young man murmured to himself, that person is none other than Yu Yu. Let me think. I recall that during this era, Yi Yu should have already achieved his Quasi-Emperor Dao fruit, though he was not yet widely renowned. With my current strength to suppress Yu Yu, that is utterly impossible. But it matters not. With 1,000 years of memories within me, one need not personally act to slay an enemy. My memories are my greatest trump card. They allow me to know many secrets, even those of immortal artifacts. To borrow strength to kill Yi Yu is my plan. I must recall the significant events of this period. The smile on the young man's face deepened, now filled with an absolute confidence, as if he had already foreseen Yi Yu's impending fate. Yi Yu, you are destined to die within the shattered starfield. Upon Yi Yu, demonic chi seemed to surge, yet simultaneously the Tao of creation ebbed and flowed. Suddenly, as if sensing something in the ethereal void, Yi Yu abruptly opened his eyes. In an instant, a divine light almost tangible shot forth from them. It seemed to split heaven and earth, distinguishing yin and yang. Countless shattered stars were instantly reduced to dust. Such terrifying power caused the entire starfield to tremble in that moment. The previous ripples of fate manifesting as arcane script before Yi Yu converged, then receded back into his eyes. Innumerable runic symbols flickered within Yi Yu's eyes like a majestic, noble, immortal, and mysterious river of time etched into their depths. With a single thought, countless images flashed within Yi Yu's eyes. As his divine sense extended, it instantly encompassed the entire universe, then swiftly converged upon the azure sky starfield. Someone harbors ill will and murderous intent towards me, and their aura is somewhat peculiar. Yi Yu mused, for in this period he had sensed no small amount of malevolent intentions and murderous aura directed at him. After all, the rise of one often infringed upon the interests of many. Yet, Yi Yu paid them little mind, for these were mere thoughts, never daring to manifest into action. Should he bother eliminating every single individual who harbored such malicious intent? With so many countless star systems and living beings throughout the entire universe, could Yi Yu truly slay them all? He found himself simply too disinclined to do so. The strong would forever remain strong, while the laggards would forever be left to gaze upon his receding back. How could those beneath Yi Yu's notice, mere vermin in the gutters of existence, ever truly matter to him? However, the malevolent intent he had just sensed, one brimming with fervent ambition, had indeed piqued Yi Yu's interest. For under the feedback of his heavenly secret divination, this individual appeared somewhat special, bearing the power of time and the flow of ages. In an instant, Yi Yu's gaze locked directly onto the young man, the inverted reflection of the youth seemingly appearing within the depths of his eyes. Witnessing the young man already beginning to plot his demise, Yi Yu suddenly found it immensely entertaining, observing from a divine perspective how this individual would scheme against him. This sensation was truly novel. Indeed, he was a bearer of immense providence, and that providence was still continuously ascending. A new son of providence decreed by the heavenly Tao itself. The only question was what specific plot points concerning himself would be connected to this son of providence. Employing his aura-gazing technique, he observed a faint, ethereal golden aura, invisible to ordinary mortals, shimmering above the young man's head. Yi Yu's expression remained calm, betraying not the slightest hint of surprise. Not only that, but Yi Yu was utterly fascinated, recalling many past events he had personally experienced as he began to ponder. Which specific plot point would be linked to this particular son of providence? The power over time and the passage of ages, then? So this was a reborn son of providence, perhaps from the future or the past? This was far better than those demonic Tao geniuses. This son of providence would greatly aid him. Was it true that each time a son of providence perished, the quality of the subsequent one would become even higher? Yi Yu nodded with satisfaction, having largely deduced 8 or 9/10 of this new son of providence's identity. With a final glance at the young man, Yi Yu, after leaving an imprint upon his form, paid him no further attention. He withdrew his gaze, closed his eyes, and resumed his cultivation. No rush. The days were long, and the most crucial task now was to cultivate the immortal demonic indestructible scripture. As for this fellow, it would not be too late to deal with him once he emerged from his seclusion. Though he seemingly paid them no mind, Yi Yu still possessed the necessary caution. After all, beings like sons of providence sometimes defied all logic. If he were to suffer an unexpected setback, that would be exceedingly troublesome. Therefore, Yi Yu still left an imprint upon this individual, allowing him to monitor the youth at any given moment. With a dim, turbulent aura swirling around him, Yi Yu entered a profound state of enlightenment. Cultivation knew no years. A mere blink could encompass tens of thousands. This particular closed-door cultivation session lasted a full 500 years for Yi Yu. During that time, the young man on the azure sky homeworld too found himself plunged into an existential crisis. The moonlit night Quasi-Emperor, wielding an extreme Tao Emperor armament, suppressed the ancient chaotic Great Emperor, then reappeared when the Northern Dipper secret realm opened, suppressing the demonized divine avatar of the Northern Dipper Great Emperor. Upon hearing this news from other disciples, the young man felt as if struck by a bolt from the blue, his eyes widening in bewildered panic. Who am I? Where am I? This should be correct. This is all wrong. In his memories, these events clearly did not exist. Shouldn't Yi Yu be in closed-door cultivation at this time? Furthermore, at this point in time, Yi Yu should not possess the ability to suppress a great emperor. What in the heavens had truly happened? Could it be that his reincarnation was somehow flawed? Yet this timeline was clearly not 1,000 years in the past either. Aside from the enigma of Yi Yu, he had clearly inquired about the progression of all other events. They were exactly the same as they had been 1,000 years ago. A variable had evidently appeared within Yi Yu himself. Upon contemplating this possibility, the young man's expression immediately changed. A profound sense of urgency surged within his heart, and he instantly resolved to begin laying out schemes to deal with Yi Yu. Just like that, 5 years passed in a flash. Within a shattered starfield, Yi Yu had cultivated in seclusion for 5 years. He slowly opened his eyes, and boundless divine light radiated forth from his very being. The light of nirvana itself seemed to surge forth, as if a mysterious and transcendental aura was sublimating around him. Countless divine and wondrous phenomena rapidly unfolded. A vast amount of demonic chi also surged forth from Yi Yu's body. Strange blood-red patterns appeared on the surface of his skin. At a glance, Yi Yu resembled a true demon, his entire body emanating an intensely sinister aura. A single glance from others would make them feel as if they would fall into the demonic path. Even the surrounding Great Tao's laws were assimilated by Yi Yu, as if this entire region had transformed into a demonic domain. With a single thought, the immense demonic chi receded back into his body, and a profound shadowy aura emerged from him. In mere moments, Yi Yu returned to his original state. That demonic aura seemed as though it had never appeared on his person, leaving no trace behind. The true demonic body had been successfully condensed. As long as he acquired immortal chi, he could condense the immortal demonic coalescence, laying the foundation for an undying body. Furthermore, his cultivation had also achieved a breakthrough with the condensation of the true demonic body. Sensing the changes within himself, a faint smile appeared on Yi Yu's face. This feeling of continuously breaking through in cultivation was truly intoxicating. Not bad. Yi Yu's cultivation, bolstered by the true demonic body, had broken through to the Quasi-Emperor realm. The Triple Heaven's true demonic body had also been forged and completed. If he were to activate his true demonic body as he did just now, his strength would be greatly amplified, and he would even gain a trace of undying characteristics. As long as his true spirit remained within a single speck of flesh and blood, he could instantly regenerate his physical body. Combined with the false word secret art, he could truly be said to be immortal. At the very least, even great emperors would find it difficult to utterly destroy him. His current combat power, even without using the 8 Desolations Purgatory Halberd, was already sufficient to truly contend with a great emperor. Moreover, the characteristics of the true demonic body were far from limited to this. Just like the divine sense incarnation of the Beidou Great Emperor could assimilate and infect other living beings, if Yi Yu activated his true demonic body, he could also do the same, turning countless living beings into his puppets and even disturbing the minds of his enemies during battle. Its countless wondrous and divine abilities could hardly be fully encapsulated in mere words. Speaking of this true demonic body, its state was actually similar to that of a divine sense incarnation after a great emperor had fallen into the demonic path. The only difference was that a divine sense incarnation would become a puppet of demonic chi, whereas Yi Yu could control the demonic chi. Furthermore, the true demonic body was far more potent than an incomplete demonic chi assimilation. With a single thought, Yi Yu, through the mark he left on the young man, sensed the young man's situation over the past 5 years. Countless pieces of information and images instantly flashed through Yi Yu's mind. My situation and his perception are not the same. Upon seeing the young man's conversation with his disciple, Yi Yu noticed the young man's unusual emotions, and his brows subtly furrowed. If that is the case, this young man must have reincarnated from the future. But why is the situation different? Is it because of the system? In the future he hails from, I did not activate the system. Yi Yu pondered, having roughly discerned the truth, and immediately continued to observe the young man's developments throughout that year. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you can win 100 battles out of 100. A great man once said that one should strategically despise the enemy, but tactically take them seriously. Yi Yu naturally agreed and would never underestimate this child of fortune by deeming him weak, nor would he disregard his plans. Furthermore, to observe from afar, witnessing how others plan against him, that too was a most delightful affair. After observing the young man's schemes, a strange glint flashed in Yi Yu's eyes. As expected of a reincarnator to know even this secret, but it's a pity you still don't understand the human heart. Yi Yu chuckled faintly, suddenly very interested in the young man's bewildered and desperate expression once he uncovered the truth. I seem to know what kind of plot development pertains to him now. Then I shall await the system's release of the mission. Shaking his head, Yu withdrew his gaze. No more looking. All I need to do is wait. As for now, it's time to investigate what truly happened in the upper realm. Standing up and taking a single step, Yi Yu's figure instantly vanished from the spot. Meanwhile, the Yaoqi Sacred Land was the hegemonic power of the Yaoqi Star Domain. The Yaoqi Sacred Land's renown echoed throughout the entire universe for countless eons. Many great emperors had either achieved Tao enlightenment as disciples of Yaoqi or held profound ties to the Yaoqi Sacred Land. This was also the reason for the Yaoqi Sacred Land's flourishing prosperity. Unlike conventional powers or Taoist academies within a single realm, the Yaoqi Sacred Land was directly formed by the fusion of countless minor star worlds. Stood majestically at the heart of the Yaoqi Star Domain, as if dominating the entire realm. Within the sacred hall of the Yaoqi Sacred Land, a peerlessly magnificent woman shrouded entirely by a gloomy aura sat upon the phoenix throne at the highest vantage. Even with her form veiled by this dark energy, one could faintly discern her captivating features, a beauty surpassing that of 10,000 maidens. Below the phoenix throne, numerous elders of the Yaoqi Sacred Land stood on either side. And the one standing at the center of the grand hall, if not a reincarnated son of destiny, then who could he be? Chuqing paid his respects to the Yaoqi territory lord, and to all the esteemed Yaoqi elders. Chuqing bowed respectfully to everyone. From the phoenix throne, a clear yet majestic voice resounded. No need for idle words. You claim you can scheme against great Emperor Yue? A pair of luminous eyes seemed to pierce through the gloomy aura, falling upon Chuqing and making him unconsciously feel immense pressure. I have heard, Territory Lord, that great Emperor Yue holds the Yaoqi Sacred Land in disdain and shows no respect to its master. Thus, I have specially come to offer my assistance to the Territory Lord and the Yaoqi Sacred Land. Chuqing cautiously spoke. Though he knew the true reason Yi Yu had offended the Yaoqi Sacred Land was because Yi Yu had once provoked this very Territory Lord, leading to the Territory Lord's furious rage, causing her to hate Yi Yu for hundreds of years. He obviously could not utter such words. After all, this was something the Yaoqi Territory Lord herself would later reveal. Speaking it now would be inexplicable and might even displease the Territory Lord. Then you will only bring ruin upon yourself. How dare a mere insect of the divine treasury realm speak such arrogant words? This sovereign knows not where you heard such intelligence. My Yaoqi sacred land has always maintained amicable relations with great Emperor Yue. Furthermore, do you comprehend the gravity of scheming against a great emperor, of harboring the delusion of assassinating a great emperor of the human race? The Yaoqi territory lord's phoenix eyes subtly narrowed, a terrifying pressure emanating from her Saint King realm cultivation erupted forth. Even a mere wisp of it held unimaginable dread. The void itself rippled, showing signs of collapse as massive amounts of chaotic ki violently burst forth. Auspicious dragons and phoenixes seemed to appear, and divine beasts roared. The very space of the grand hall seemed to freeze because of this. Even a mere wisp of this pressure was enough to suppress countless saints, akin to the direct might of heaven and earth enveloping Chu Qing. The moment the pressure touched Chu Qing, yin and yang energies erupted from his front, converging to seemingly form a yin-yang taiji diagram, condensing the elements of earth, wind, water, and fire, firmly protecting Chu Qing within. It was an ultimate emperor armament projection. Seeing the yin taiji diagram, the Yaoqi territory lord's willow brows slightly furrowed, observing with interest. If I possessed no skill, why would I dare to appear here? Chu Qing said with a calm and composed smile, cupping his fists respectfully. Please believe in my sincerity, territory lord. I'm confident I can lure Yi Yu, and even more confident I can kill him in one stroke. As for the amicable relations the Yaoqi territory lord just mentioned, Chu Qing simply ignored them. Amicable relations? What nonsense, he remembered clearly. Hundreds of years later, upon discovering Ye Yu's whereabouts, the Yaoqi territory lord would personally wield an ultimate emperor armament to hunt him down. This was less an amicable relation and more an endless, irreconcilable feud. It was precisely because of this that the secret between the Yaoqi territory lord and Yi Yu would eventually be revealed to all. Therefore, Chu Qing was 10/10 confident that he could persuade the Yaoqi territory lord. The Yaoqi territory lord's eyes flashed, her body subtly straightened, seemingly intrigued. She spoke faintly. Tell me then. The Yaoqi Grand Banquet held once every 100 years is about to begin. Territory lord, if we spread the news saying this year's Yaoqi Grand Banquet will unveil a Saint Origin Stone, will Yi Yu be interested? Chu Qing smiled, saying, a Saint Origin Stone, a Saint Origin Stone. It often contains the essence of heaven and earth, along with fragments of foundational laws. Yi Yu is already a Quasi-Emperor. For him, this object is a necessity that can help him cultivate swiftly to the peak of the Quasi-Emperor realm. Such a prize would undoubtedly attract him here. The Yaoqi territory lord spoke faintly. A Saint Origin Stone is also collectively known as Divine Origin, the highest grade divine material among Divine Origin stones. Just as great emperors would seal themselves within Divine Origin, naturally, many heavenly treasures and earthly wonders would also be sealed and preserved within it. After countless eons of refinement, anything that still exists to this day can be deemed sacred. The immense value of sacred origin stones is naturally self-evident. The Jade Pond Holy Land would hold a grand banquet once every century, inviting heroes from across the world to participate and seek good fortune. Each time, the Jade Pond Holy Land would even offer several pieces of divine origin to further spice up the event. The Jade Pond Holy Land was the current power with the largest reserves of divine origin in the world. In terms of divine origin, the Jade Pond Holy Land naturally lacked nothing. It possessed countless amounts. As long as Yi Yu appears, I will have a way to eliminate him. I know of a heaven and earth killing array. If the Jade Pond Holy Land were to unleash its full power, it could definitely suppress and kill Yi Yu. Chu Qing said confidently, that is still not enough. A Quasi-Emperor is not so easily annihilated, especially when that Quasi-Emperor is Yi Yu. His talent and comprehension are unparalleled from ancient times to the present. Across countless eras, few can truly rival him. The difficulty in eliminating him is no less than eliminating a great emperor. How can you hope to destroy him with just this? In the Jade Pond Holy Lord's eyes, veiled by dark clouds, a flicker of interest appeared. Her gaze, tinged with coldness, fixed upon Chu Qing as she slowly spoke. Unfortunately, hidden by the dark clouds, Chu Qing did not notice the change in the Jade Pond Holy Lord's eyes. Hearing her words, he instead laughed even more confidently. Holy Lord, please temporarily seal off the Jade Pond Holy Land's array formations. I still have a trump card. Chu Qing puffed out his chest and spoke with his head held high. Oh? The Jade Pond Holy Lord seemed intrigued. With a wave of her hand, she temporarily sealed off the array formations. The next moment, as yin and yang shifted and water and fire fluctuated, a veiled figure slowly stepped out from the void. It is indeed you. Ye Qingcheng, it has been a long time. The Jade Pond Holy Lord chuckled coldly, speaking indifferently. The water-fire taiji diagram belongs to my Yi clan. Yaoqi, you had already guessed, so why bother with this pretense? Ye Qingcheng said calmly, as the imperial daughter of the Yi clan, Ye Qingcheng, just like the Jade Pond Holy Land, is one of the universe's most formidable powers. The Yi clan, from ancient times to the present, has produced an untold number of great emperors, laying the foundation for their status as an imperial clan. Merely possessing an extreme Dao imperial armament to guard them is enough to prevent other great emperors from daring to disrespect the Yi clan. Holy Lord, Imperial Daughter, if the two of you join forces, coupled with my peerless killing array to suppress and kill him, it will undoubtedly take no effort to slay Ye Yu. I implore both of you to consider this carefully. Seeing the two women's fiery exchange, Chu Qing hurriedly interjected. The Yi clan wishes to join forces? Are you afraid? Yi Qingcheng retorted. Then let us join forces. This queen loathes Yi Yu to the core. The Jade Pond Holy Lord declared heavily. Very well, Ye Qingcheng nodded slightly. The two women exchanged glances, their eyes filled with an unspoken, profound understanding. Yi Yu, this time you will surely have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Who told you to provoke these two formidable women? Do you not know that women are not to be trifled with? With the Jade Pond and the Yi clan joining forces, how could you, Yi Yu, possibly survive? Chu Xing lowered his head, missing the silent exchange between the two women. In his eyes, a glint of perverse delight flickered, as if he had already foreseen Ye Yu's miserable end after the Jade Pond holy banquet began. Although he would not admit it, a hint of jealousy still gnawed at him. What virtues or talents did Yi Yu possess to captivate both the Jade Pond Holy Lord and the Yi clan's imperial daughter? What was even more detestable was that Yi Yu had not agreed, which only infuriated him further. If it were him, he would have long since prostrated himself before those two women. Yi Yu, you are truly doomed this time. Before the forbidden land of gods and devils, a figure had just appeared, seemingly sensing something amiss. Yi Yu's gaze shifted towards the Jade Pond Holy Land. Reporting, Master, your renown within the mystical world has spread far and wide. Therefore, you will be targeted at the upcoming Jade Pond Holy Banquet you are about to attend, targeted by the Son of Destiny. Please, Master, resolve the calamity brought about by the Child of Fate. Quest complete. Reward, a grand gift pack. The higher the completion rate, the greater the rewards will grow. At this moment, the system notification chimed in Yi Yu's ears. Is it truly because of the Yaoqi Holy Feast? What must come will inevitably come. Having avoided it for centuries, it is time to settle it once and for all. Dragging it out endlessly is no solution. Realizing this, Yi Yu let out a faint sigh. Just thinking about what might unfold at the Yaoqi Holy Feast gave him a slight headache. In comparison, the Child of Fate had now been rendered utterly insignificant in Yi Yu's eyes. Shaking his head, he temporarily cast aside his stray thoughts. Gathering his composure, Yi Yu stepped forward, crossing directly into the forbidden land of gods and demons. I must first resolve the matter at hand. It will not be too late to think of the Yaoqi Holy Feast afterward. Inside the forbidden land of gods and demons, lush verdure bloomed like a realm of immortals as subtle ripples distorted the surrounding void. Yi Yu materialized in midair, his eyes turning toward Emperor Zun. Though many years had passed, Emperor Zun remained as he was long ago, sitting quietly upon a stone bench. You have arrived. Sit. Sensing Yi Yu's gaze, Emperor Zun spoke with cold detachment. Senior, can you now speak of the transformation within the upper realm? Yi Yu sat down obediently before asking his question. Over 10,000 years ago, a single drop of demonic blood appeared within the upper realm. That drop of demonic blood corrupted the entire upper realm. Even the divine emperors of the upper realm were no exception. The entire upper realm was transformed into a demonic domain. Not long ago, did you not encounter Emperor Beidou, who fell to demonic corruption through a spatial rift? It was merely his divine sense avatar. That is precisely why I forbade you from venturing to the upper realm. You must exercise extreme caution. Unless you possess the power to resolve all of it, I strongly discourage you from entering the upper realm. The upper realm today is a desolate wasteland, or rather, a realm overflowing with slaughter and ruin. Emperor Zun wasted no words, delivering the answer directly. A single drop of demonic blood had corrupted the entire upper realm. Yi Yu's pupils constricted, his mind reeling in shock. Although he had surmised much, this truth was still far beyond Yi Yu's wildest imagination. A mere single drop of blood had turned the vast upper realm into a demonic domain. What kind of terrifying scale was this? And what sort of existence could possess blood this horrifying? Small wonder the heavenly gate had not opened for over 10 million years. Furthermore, a single drop of blood corrupting an entire realm. Why did this sound so eerily like a story from his past life? Yi Yu froze in astonishment, his expression becoming exceedingly peculiar. What is it? Seeing the change in Ye Yu's expression, Emperor Zun asked with mild curiosity. I know which story I should tell Senior now, but please adjust the time dilation here first, Senior, for I have matters to attend to shortly. Contemplating for a moment, Ye Yu felt explaining the truth directly would be too troublesome, so he decided to tell those two stories to Emperor Zun instead. Conveniently, this doubt had weighed on his mind for a long time. This was the perfect opportunity to probe the matter. Emperor Zun nodded, waving his hand to alter the temporal flow before asking with anticipation, what story do you wish to tell? This story consists of two parts. One of a figure waiting in the mortal world to become immortal, and another of one who dominated the ancient ages alone. Carefully choosing his words, Yi Yu began narrating two web novels he had read in his previous life. Epic works spanning nearly 10 million characters in total. Even with Yi Yu recounting them without pause, it took several full days to finish the tales. They are indeed somewhat similar, though the blood of the heavens in your story is not as terrifying as this drop of demonic blood. The blood of the heavens only corrupted the immortal emperors, whereas this demonic blood affected the entire upper realm. Having heard Yi Yu's complete narrative, Emperor Zun spoke reflectively. Saying this, he instantly saw through Yi Yu's underlying motive. Emperor Zun looked at Ye Yu with clear, piercing eyes and said coldly, Do not overthink matters. I am not waiting for anyone's return to aid you. I merely found it mildly interesting. Do not mistake me for your brother. Seeing that Dizun had guessed correctly, Ye Yu was not surprised. Dizun might be simple-minded, but she was no fool. Yi Yu had practically laid out all the evidence. It would have been stranger if Dizun hadn't figured it out. Even so, hearing such gossip from Dizun's lips still felt quite novel. Then, Senior, why do you remain in the lower realm? Yi Yu asked, filled with curiosity. The upper realm has already transformed into a demonic domain. I do not wish to ascend. It is too chaotic and truly abhorrent there. I dislike it. This lower realm is far more tranquil, Dizun uttered with vexation. She then paused for a moment before continuing. Truth be told, I could also say that I am waiting, but I await not a person but an opportunity. I wish to attempt to restore the upper realm. Otherwise, with the upper realm connected to 3,000 Dao domains, if things continue as they are, not only this Dao domain but all 3,000 Dao domains and even the myriad heavens and 10,000 worlds will be consumed by the demonic domain. By then, all living beings will face slaughter. If it is possible, I wish to resolve this calamity. This concept of universes was merely Yi Yu's understanding, influenced by his previous life. In the parlance of this fantastical cultivation world, each universe was in fact a Dao domain, a domain under the governance of the upper realm. This required no further elaboration. Upon hearing these words, Yi Yu's expression grew solemn. Senior, do you know the origin of that drop of demonic blood? I know a thing or two, but I will not tell you. You only need to know that the upper realm is not the highest world, and a divine emperor is not the pinnacle of cultivation. That is sufficient. Dizun shook her head, hesitating for a moment, then added, It's not that I refuse to tell you, but there are matters where knowing too much is not a good thing. It could negatively affect you. If the upper realm was not the highest world, then there must exist even more powerful realms beyond it. Was it the immortal realm or a world akin to the supreme heavens? Yi Yu pondered deeply. He was no fool. Even if Dizun did not explicitly state it, he was capable of connecting the dots. However, if Dizun chose not to speak, there was surely a profound reason for it. Yi Yu asked no further. A single drop of blood had already impacted the entire upper realm. Good heavens, just how terrifying and bizarre must the worlds of higher planes be? Yu secretly clicked his tongue, finding it utterly unbelievable. Many thanks, Senior, for clarifying my doubts. After a moment of thought, Yu stopped dwelling on it. He rose, bowed deeply to Dizun, and said gratefully, There is no need. You have shared your stories with me. My answering your questions is only natural. It is precisely why I instructed you to establish a force. To resolve the upper realm's crisis and to smoothly ascend to the upper realm, this is indispensable. Dizun shook her head indifferently, then calmly stated, Enough, no more talk. Simply decide for yourself. I shall impart to you a divine ability, considering it recompense for the tales you have told. Yi Yu's eyes lit up at the mention of a divine ability. A technique wielded by this venerable figure would surely be extraordinary. This technique is called the Great Dao Treasure Vase. Dizun smiled, speaking with immense pride. When the Great Dao Treasure Vase is unleashed, it can transform all things in the mundane world into primal chaos, returning them to void. It can refine the 3,000 Great Daos, converging them into one, making them your own. Not only that, when facing an adversary, activating the Great Dao Treasure Vase can manifest Daos as an impenetrable armor, protecting your very being. It can also devour your foes. This divine ability dissolves all matter or energy, refines it into its primal essence, and feeds it back to you. Whether as an aid to cultivation or a defensive technique, it is truly peerless throughout the cosmos. You mean I exchanged only 2 stories for this divine ability? He found it truly staggering. Hearing this, Yi Yu instinctively adopted an expression of utter astonishment, gazing at Dizun with profound shock. Seeing Yi Yu's expression, Dizun grew even more pleased. I heard that your tales are seemingly not limited to just 2 parts. There are more, are there not? Dizun took a sip of tea, subtly masking her slight embarrassment, and spoke earnestly, Next time I shall continue to share my stories with Senior. Yi Yu understood her implication and immediately replied, Indeed. Dizun nodded with satisfaction. Very well, have a seat. I shall impart the technique to you. The flow of time here is vastly different from the outside world. You may cultivate the Great Dao Treasure Vase here until you achieve mastery. Should any errors arise, I can guide you, ensuring that none of your endeavors are delayed. Many thanks, Senior. Yi Yu immediately sat down. Dizun spoke no further words, extending her hand towards Yi Yu's glabella. A mysterious aura flowed from her jade-like finger, and in an instant, streams of Dao principles converged towards Yi Yu's glabella, swiftly merging into his sea of consciousness, congealing into a talisman in the shape of a vase. Sensing the vastness and profoundness of the talisman, Yi Yu calmed his mind, carefully beginning to comprehend it. Time flowed by. In what felt like an instant, after an unknown period of comprehension, Yi Yu had fully mastered the Great Dao Treasure Vase. As a thought flickered, a black vase, seemingly woven from the 3,000 Great Dao principles, materialized above Yi Yu's head, shining with dazzling brilliance. The Emperor's might radiating from the vase seemed to encompass the power to stabilize the cosmos of 3,000 worlds, suppressing countless primordial realms. Its boundless devouring power grew even more intense, distorting even the void, as if endless matter was being consumed by the vase. It refined these energies, then returned them to Yi Yu himself. This was the Great Dao Treasure Vase, the secret art of Dizun. The might of the Great Dao Treasure Vase was self-evident. It was not merely a secret art, but also a spiritual artifact. Though its power might not rival an Ultimate Emperor artifact, it was nonetheless terrifyingly potent. Furthermore, Yi Yu could sense that this was merely because the Great Dao Treasure Vase had just been condensed. If it were to undergo cultivation through the long passage of years, this artifact would undoubtedly advance to the level of an Ultimate Emperor artifact. It was even possible it could surpass an Ultimate Emperor artifact. Indeed, it was the right decision to rely on Dizun, for her to casually bestow such a terrifying secret art. Yi Yu retracted the Great Dao Treasure Vase, clucking his tongue repeatedly. He thought to himself, the Great Dao Treasure Vase has been cultivated. You may depart. I shall continue to roam the cosmos to see if there are any new interesting tales. Dizun said softly. Why did Yu feel that Dizun was hinting at him? Yes, senior. This junior will come to seek your guidance when he has leisure. Both were individuals of esteemed standing. Since Dizun had hinted, Yeyu naturally followed her implication. To seek guidance on what? Naturally, it was storytelling, or was it merely Yeyu's illusion? Yeyu always felt that Dizun's voice sounded much merrier. No, it was not an illusion. It was indeed joy. It was truly a hint. Why did he feel that Senior Dizun was rather adorable? Yeyu touched his nose, bowed to Dizun, and then turned to leave. The Yaoqi Sacred Banquet was a grand event of the Yaoqi Sacred Land held only once every century. With its commencement, the scene was naturally bustling with activity. Not only were members of the human race present, but also geniuses from myriad other races had gathered here. Furthermore, numerous revered seniors had been invited. It had to be said this could be considered one of the grandest events in the entire universe. Looking into the distance, brilliant lights shimmered, and a soaring aura filled the sky, akin to a celestial realm. The sacred banquet plaza overflowing with immortal cool was already packed with people, a vast sea of humanity. Geniuses from myriad races sat in the outer circles, while the powerful experts of various clans occupied the inner rings, collectively awaiting the banquet's beginning. Although all powers knew that the Yaoqi Sacred Banquet was merely for the Yaoqi Sacred Land to display its strength and solidify its status, the spiritual fruits and divine treasures offered at the banquet were genuinely real. There were also many activities, and with such a massive turnout, naturally no one would refuse to attend. It could be said that almost everyone invited from across the entire universe would arrive. Ordinarily, saints were rarely seen, but at this moment, they could be found everywhere, even at the grand entrances. It was no exaggeration to say that saints abounded. Even great saints were as common as dogs. The event was both solemn and grand, majestic yet lively. The challenge had been unleashed. Yu, I refuse to believe you have no interest in the sacred origin. As long as you arrive, that day will be your day of demise. Seated upon a grand chair, Chu Qing's eyes gleamed with excitement. He eagerly anticipated the scene after Yi Yu's death, when he would bear the great banner of the human race and emerge as the ultimate victor. Once I leverage my foresight into the future, acquire those fortuitous encounters, and gradually attain the great Emperor Dao, who knows? The Yaoqi Emperor Lord and the Yi Clan Empress Maiden might even fall for me. It is not an impossibility. As these thoughts crossed her mind, Chu Qing let out a cold sneer, her heart already consumed by fantastical dreams. And at this very moment a mysterious, ancient, and indescribable bell chime rang out, instantly echoing throughout the entire Jade Lake Star Domain. It was the inherited Extreme Dao Imperial weapon of the Jade Lake Holy Land, the Huang Wuzhong, that had resonated. The Jade Lake Holy Feast officially commenced. From the Immortal Yi Clan, the maiden Yi Qingcheng arrived. From the Immortal Imperial Clan, disciple Huang Kongjujian. From the Jiaong Holy Land, the Holy Lord Jiaong Emperor. From the Tianwen Holy Land, its Holy Lord. The Tianwen Emperor Lord. From the Tianyun Divine Dynasty, the Imperial Lord, successor to the Human Emperor. From the Tianyao Divine Kingdom, the Divine Lord Ao Jiao Huang, and from the Huanggu God Clan, its chief, the Desolate Sovereign. Each grand announcement echoed through the heavens and clouds, reverberating across the vast star domain. Seated at the place of honor, a figure of indescribable, majestic, and mystical divine might radiated the immortal light of Dao laws from his entire being. As each figure appeared, behind them, phantom projections of extreme Dao imperial weapons shimmered, appearing and disappearing. Some manifested the profound mysteries of suppressing the 4 seas and 8 desolations. Others revealed the divine wonder of the 5 elements circulation, while yet others showcased myriad worlds opening the heavens or the universe cycles of destruction. Even as mere projections, these various extreme Dao imperial weapons exuded an unbearable power. The Yi Clan, the Imperial Clan, the Jiaoguang Holy Land, the Tianwen Holy Land, the Jade Lake Holy Land, the Tianyun Divine Dynasty, the Tianyao Divine Kingdom, and the Huanggu God Clan. These were the 8 most formidable powers in this universe. The reason these powers could ascend to become hegemons, standing at the pinnacle of the universe, was that each possessed an extreme Dao imperial weapon to suppress their destiny and serve as their profound foundation. Of course, this entire universe did not consist solely of these 8 great powers. These 8 were merely the tip of the iceberg. The vast universe naturally harbored hidden races and reclusive powers. Indeed, even in the current era, other formidable forces, though often targeted by myriad factions, still thrived. Nevertheless, regardless of hidden competitors, the immense foundations of these 8 great powers ensured their standing at the apex of the universe. As the leaders of these great powers took their seats of honor, the Grand Tao itself seemed to transform into golden lotuses, Tao principles manifesting into brilliant floral patterns. Resplendent radiance and immeasurable divine light filled the air as myriad divine intents converged. Then, the majestic figure of the Jade Lake Emperor Lord appeared in mid-air, descending to sit among the other grand figures. All present chorused, "We respectfully welcome the Jade Lake Emperor Lord. Respectfully welcome the Jiaoguang Emperor Lord." All guests rose, respectfully bowing to the leaders of the great powers seated at the places of honor. "There is no need for such excessive ceremony. Please be seated." The Jade Lake Emperor Lord calmly continued, "I trust you have all heard the news. At the conclusion of this banquet, our Jade Lake Holy Land shall present a piece of saint origin, formed by the suppression of 10 human quasi-emperors within a great emperor forbidden zone. Prior to that, the other segments of the banquet will proceed as usual. This time, the quantity of divine origin will be doubled. I trust you will all maintain harmony." Should multiple individuals desire the same piece of divine origin, compete fairly. But if any of you cause an unsightly disturbance, then you will be showing blatant disrespect to our Jade Lake Holy Land. Her voice was dignified, majestic, and noble. Throughout the banquet hall, the voice of the Jade Lake Emperor Lord resonated continuously. The mention of divine origin made the eyes of countless guests gleam with anticipation, and even the leaders of the great powers showed expressions of keen interest. As for the Saint origin, no one truly expected to acquire it. The Jade Lake Holy Land merely displayed a piece for admiration, not for sale. But the divine origin would be sold like a treasure in a mystery box auction, and naturally this prospect captivated everyone present. Indeed, this was one of the key reasons the Jade Lake Holy Feast attracted so many cultivators. After all, high-grade divine origin rarely circulated outside, and only the Jade Lake Holy Land possessed such quality, making it a mutually beneficial exchange. The Jade Lake Holy Land would certainly not incur a loss. This opportunity to sell divine origin could also earn them a substantial fortune. Truly, it was a win-win situation. The Holy Feast has officially begun. May you all enjoy the food and drink. And should any of the myriad races geniuses wish to contend, step forward. Let us all witness your magnificent bearing. The Jade Lake Emperor Lord proclaimed. No sooner had her words fallen than Jade Lake female cultivators emerged, bearing spirit fruits and divine tea, presenting them before each distinguished guest. Furthermore, an elder of the Jade Lake Holy Land waved his hand, conjuring forth a multitude of divine origin which instantly electrified the assembled guests. They produced their divine stones, carefully examined the divine origin, and one after another, the bidding commenced. Yi Wu, will you come? As the banquet grew bustling, from her seat of honor, a hint of expectation flickered in the Jade Lake Emperor Lord's eyes, previously veiled by a shadow of concern as she whispered to herself. Meanwhile, Yi Xincheng, seated with the Yi clan nearby, ceaselessly scanned the vast banquet plaza. It was as if she too was searching for traces of Yi Wu. Yi Wu, you must come, otherwise I shall have to devise another method to lure you into my grasp. You are far too dangerous. If you are not eliminated soon, how can one ever feel at ease? From the prodigy's seat, Chu Qing clenched his fists, both anxious and expectant. He even lost his appetite for the spirit fruits. Why did he feel that the Jade Pond Holy Land's actions this time were somewhat peculiar, and that the Yi clan's little princess was also acting rather strangely? While ordinary individuals might not discern the abnormalities, the sect masters of other top-tier powers naturally noticed. They couldn't help but feel suspicion, casting glances towards the Jade Pond Emperor and Ye Qingcheng, their brows slightly furrowed, wondering what schemes these two were enacting. The entire banquet appeared extraordinarily lively, yet beneath the surface, hidden undercurrents had already begun to stir. Meanwhile, Yi Yu, the focus of everyone's covert attention, had already arrived at the banquet square. However, no one had yet detected his presence. Having used his divine power to subtly interfere with the senses of those around him, Yi Yu leisurely settled into a prodigy's seat, savoring spirit fruits and immortal delicacies. A trace of nostalgia couldn't help but appear on his face. Thinking back carefully, it had indeed been several hundred years since he had enjoyed a proper meal. Recalling the last time he participated in the Jade Pond Holy Banquet, still very young, it truly felt as though an entire lifetime had passed. On the path of cultivation, unrelenting effort and high intensity can sometimes become a weakness. It seems that in the future he must also pay attention to rest and relaxation. Sensing a slight advancement in his state of mind, his aura also seemed to subtly elevate. Yi Yu mused to himself, feeling a peculiar sensation at this moment. Yi Yu frowned, casting his gaze in a certain direction. Why was he sensing such a peculiar aura? Upon glancing over, Yi Yu was immediately dumbfounded. He saw not far from him a hazy figure, frantically devouring the food on a table. And who else could this person be but the Great Empress? Good heavens, I am hiding here. And the Great Empress is also here. As a revered Great Empress, she is secretly participating in the Jade Pond Holy Banquet? No, that's not right. Judging by her appearance, it would be more accurate to say she's secretly freeloading. Surely, this isn't the first time the Great Empress has done something like this, is it? Yi Yu subtly quirked his lips into a slight smirk. At this moment, the Great Empress also seemed to notice Yi Yu's gaze. Her willow brows couldn't help but furrow slightly, a hint of perplexity in her expression. How could someone possibly perceive her existence? And so she unconsciously raised her head. But then there was no after that, as the Empress, slightly stunned, calmly lowered her head once more, pretending not to know Yi Yu, and continued to eat at her leisure. Bit by bit, time slipped away, and before anyone realized, the banquet was nearing its end. As the auction of the divine source concluded, an elder from the Jade Pond brought forth a white stone slab, standing approximately 3 meters tall. The moment the stone appeared, the surrounding spiritual energy frantically converged towards it. Sounds of the great Tao resonated from within the stone, and numerous immortal essences evolved from its very core. Rune after rune of the great Tao manifested, encircling the stone slab. Countless divine intentions and auspicious phenomena enveloped and evolved, and in but a brief moment, the sky above the Jade Pond Holy Land was covered by boundless verdant clouds, while an aura of divine majesty and imperial chi erupted. The vast Jade Pond Holy Land itself seemed to transform into a sea of unusual phenomena at this very moment. The spiritual energy emanating from the stone was so potent that merely breathing it in brought a sense of spiritual invigoration. One's cultivation seemed to elevate, and countless insights were born. The entire banquet square fell into utter silence with the appearance of the stone. This was a sacred source stone. Legend had it that it was born from the cosmos, or rather, it was enveloped and contained by the rules of the great Tao even before the primordial chaos separated. Each sacred source stone contained innate primordial essence and harbored innumerable divine treasures. For those with low cultivation, a sacred source stone might remain unused for their entire lives. Yet this was an object profoundly coveted by every quasi-emperor and even great emperors themselves. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds as time slowly ticked by, the cultivators held their breath, anticipating what divine treasure the sacred source stone would reveal. Yet they all remained stunned, a blank, dazed look appearing in their eyes. Yaoqi Master, why has the accursed sacred origin embryo not yet been severed? Could it be that the sacred origin stone truly holds no allure for Yi Yu? Seated, Chu Qing's countenance was subtly contorted, his eyes filled with seething unwillingness. This was their prime opportunity, one where Yi Yu would be least likely to detect any anomaly. Should this attempt fail, their next chance would prove even more arduous. Yu and the Yaoqi Master exchanged deep, meaningful glances, as if sharing a silent sigh. Lu Mengshu, why have you yet to sever the sacred origin? Ao Jing, the demon emperor of the heavenly demon divine kingdom, could no longer hold back, sending a whispered message. And Liu Mengshu, of course, was none other than the Yaoqi Master herself. Successors to a Holy Land, upon assuming the mantle of Master, would invariably adopt the Holy Land's name as their title. Thus, the Yaoqi Master was merely a title, while Lu Mengshu was her true given name. But let us not dwell on such formalities. Just as Lu Mengshu was about to speak, Ye Qingcheng suddenly stood up, slammed her hand upon the table and roared, "Ye Yu, I refuse to believe you won't reveal yourself. The past was but a misunderstanding. Why must you take it to such extremes?" A resonant sigh echoed through the air. Yi Yu, who had been cloaked by hidden rules, dissolved his concealment. In an instant, the seemingly ordinary Yu that everyone had perceived reverted to his true form, now clad in robes of even more pristine white, enveloped by a divine aura, immortal laws interwoven around him, each mystical imprint intertwining with the next, framing Yi Yu's handsome face. His sharp, sword-like brows framed eyes that shone like stars, yet seemed to conceal entire universes within their depths. His tall, imposing figure stood straight and majestic, as if a divine pillar supporting the very turning of heaven and earth. Every subtle gesture, every movement of his hands and feet seemed to harbor unparalleled intrinsic power. At a fleeting glance, one might perceive him as naught but a noble young master of the mortal realm. Yet, a second look revealed an immortal king descended, his divine presence so awe-inspiring that a mere glance instilled a profound sense of inferiority and shame, causing hearts to tremble and heads to instinctively bow in reverence. Though he had yet to unleash any oppressive aura or exert his true presence, he still felt like a bottomless abyss, a boundless ocean. Moreover, from the depths of their true spirits to their very essence, chi, and divine consciousness, all felt unstable and profoundly shaken. The Oye Great Emperor, it seemed, had been concealed within the Yaoqi sacred banquet all along. Everyone's mind reeled with shock. This sudden, dramatic shift left everyone's minds utterly blank, as if a full half-day would not suffice for them to fully recover their senses. Reverently, they welcomed the arrival of the Yuye Great Emperor. A mere second later, as the realization dawned, from the leaders of the great powers to the myriad cultivators, every single person rose, their heads bowed low. With solemn dignity, they cried out in unison, "We reverently welcome the Yuye Great Emperor." Whether of the human race or the demonic race, or formidable beings from the myriad races, such as ancient spirits, great sages, or even holy kings, all were compelled to offer their respects to Yi Yu with the utmost reverence. "There is no need for such excessive ceremony," Yi Yu gently uttered. "We thank the Yuye Great Emperor." Carefully, everyone rose, their gazes now fixed upon Ye Qingcheng. Yi Qingcheng's silken veil, however, seemed utterly incapable of obstructing Yi Yu's gaze. Beneath it, an exquisitely beautiful, doll-like face was revealed, its skin as porcelain white and delicate as jade, translucent and seemingly without a single pore, yet radiating an air of innocent, charming naivete. Such a sweet and innocent countenance made it utterly impossible for anyone to harbor feelings of hatred or murderous intent towards her. Yet at this very moment, that delicate, doll-like face was visibly puffed up with indignation, her large round eyes glaring intently at Yi Yu. Yi Yu then spoke, stating, "Between myself and Yi Qingcheng, it was truly nothing more than a misunderstanding. Several centuries prior, Yi Yu had chanced upon Yi Qingcheng while she was undergoing cultivation in a hidden secret realm. At that time, she had been grievously wounded by a demonic beast, and Yi Yu, without hesitation, saved her. This was not merely a convenient act of assistance. A deeper reason lay in his knowledge that Ye Qingcheng was none other than the ancient great empress of the Ye clan, an imperial daughter sealed within a divine source. Having awakened in this life, Yi Yu naturally wouldn't refuse the opportunity to ally with the Yi clan. Thus, Yi Yu also came to know Yi Qingcheng. On one occasion, driven by mischievous curiosity, Yi Yu wondered what Yi Qingcheng truly looked like. Seizing a moment when Yi Qingcheng wasn't paying attention, he lifted her veil. The resulting situation was nothing short of disastrous, or perhaps a true predicament. For who could have known the Yi clan's arcane rule? Whoever lifted the veil of the Yi clan's imperial daughter was bound to marry her. Yi Yu once suspected Yi Qingcheng was deliberately tricking him, but he lacked any proof. To lift it was to marry her. If it had been a mere beggar who lifted it, would the Yi clan truly have accepted such a union? That would be truly unheard of. From then on, Yi Qingcheng pursued him relentlessly. Yet Yi Yu possessed his own unique pride, or perhaps arrogance. If there were genuinely no alternative, he might have accepted. He wouldn't hesitate to become a kept man, agreeing instantly. However, his own innate talent was far from lacking. If he married Yi Qingcheng, he would become merely the son-in-law of the Yi clan, and the world would undoubtedly mock him. A man's pride dictated he wished to rely solely on his own efforts. Thus Yi Yu joined our very own Yi clan. Ye Qingcheng, shedding her dignified and majestic demeanor, directly placed her hands on her hips, her aura blazing as she was about to speak. Yet, her words were cut short by Chu Qing. Originally, Chu Qing had not intended to interrupt, but after observing for a while, she felt something was amiss. Why are you all still conversing casually? Women always prone to spoiling things. Don't you understand that timing is as precious as life itself? Shouldn't we be seizing the moment? Yi Yu, your day of reckoning has arrived. Behold the 10 directions imprisoning heaven absolute kill array. Chu Qing stood up, forming hand seals while shouting loudly. In an instant, innumerable laws and divine phenomena manifested from the void, rapidly spreading in all directions. Countless streams of killing intent, destruction, and savage power circulated, instantly engulfing the entire banquet plaza. Daring to act against Emperor Ye, the minds of many esteemed elders such as Ao Jing simply froze. Whose descendant is this to be so audacious? A mere ant concealed in the void, yet it dares to roar about killing Emperor Ye. This Jade Pool sacred feast is truly problematic. In an instant, the group of elders reacted, their hair standing on end, their entire bodies going numb, daring not to ponder further. 7 esteemed elders simultaneously roared loudly. Who dares to provoke a great emperor with such audacity? Are you courting death? Your gall is truly immense. Hearing the roars from the various great powers, Chu Qing sneered with disdain. Without waiting for them to fully recover their strength, Chu Qing began forming hand seals. Today I shall show you the true might of the 10 directions imprisoning heaven absolute kill array. Just obediently remain spectators. Whoever dares to move dies, yet why do you not swiftly act to suppress me? With Yi Yu right there, innumerable refined laws of divine realm order spread out and a majestic heavenly might trembled into existence. Terrifying power rapidly evolved as if a colossal yin-yang millstone was grinding. The moment the great array activated, new killing intent immediately manifested. Presumptuous. This is within the Jade Pool Sacred Palace. How can we tolerate someone daring to plot against a great emperor and courting death? At this moment, the Jade Pool sovereign, Liu Mengshou, suddenly stood up and coldly rebuked. Not only Chu Qing, but even figures like Ao Jing were stunned. Aren't the Jade Pool sacred land and this individual supposed to be on the same side? This person hasn't even fully allied with the Jade Pool sacred land, yet dares to cause trouble on their territory? Sovereign you. Chu Qing was utterly shocked, angry and fearful, bewildered and flustered all at once. Before Chu Qing could even finish speaking, Liu Mengshue interrupted. Awaken ultimate Tao imperial armament. From deep within the Jade Pool sacred land, endless immortal light bloomed as if a great indistinct divine artifact silhouette appeared. Moments later, a dazzling radiance blossomed, seemingly containing the profound divine intent of space and time. Tao charm and precious light permeated the air, and the ethereal void rapidly transformed. A mirrored imprint manifested. The moment the mirror lit up, the 10 directions imprisoning heaven absolute kill array that Chu Qing had deployed immediately shattered. A verdant light then enveloped Chu Qing, suppressing her on the spot, rendering her immobile. It was none other than the ultimate Tao imperial armament, the Kunlun mirror. The various powers, all the cultivators, were utterly bewildered. They stared at Chu Qing as if he were a complete fool. Is this man truly so idiotic? When Ziyang had leapt out, only to be suppressed in an instant, it had already put them on edge. They had anticipated a grand battle, but was this truly the entire outcome? Are these truly his only meager tricks? Who granted him such audacity? To dare scheme against a great emperor and furthermore to conspire to suppress and kill him. Everyone present was stunned into silence. Chu Qing, however, was even more dumbfounded. Though he was unable to speak or move, Chu Qing's face was flushed crimson and his eyes seemed to spit fire. Damn it. I have been deceived. This thought flashed through Chu Qing's mind. Having reached this point, if Chu Qing still failed to react, if he still couldn't comprehend what was truly unfolding, then something was truly amiss. He had been played for a fool. Chu Qing was seething with rage, yet 100 questions plagued his mind. He couldn't fathom the intentions of Liu Mengshue, the mistress of Jiaoqi. We agreed to join forces, so why have you suddenly turned your back and betrayed me? If he hadn't personally witnessed it in his previous life, with Liu Mengxue pursuing Yi Yu, Chu Qing might have almost believed that Yi Yu and Liu Mengxue were colluding to scheme against him. No wait, I still have a chance. As long as the Yi clan's maiden doesn't betray me, there's still a sliver of hope for survival. With this thought, Chu Qing's eyes darted towards Ye Qingcheng, his gaze filled with fervent expectation for her to make her move. Liu Mengxue is quite cunning. She is indeed putting on a show for this wretch, all to lure brother Yu. Yet Ye Qingcheng, upon whom Chu Qing's hopes were fixated, was now gnashing her teeth in fury. The words she had intended to speak to Ye Yu, warning him of Liu Mengshue's murderous intent, could only be swallowed back. Regret surged within her, for she had directly summoned Yi Yu. If only she had known, she would have waited until the banquet concluded before secretly seeking him out. Fortunately, I had a sudden realization early on. Yi Qingcheng subtly let out a cold snort. Esteemed guests, our Yi clan has an announcement to make on the occasion of this Jiaoqi sacred banquet. As a thought flashed through her mind, Ye Qingcheng's voice, though gentle, resonated with solemn majesty, imbued with divine power, echoing throughout Jiaoqi. What is she planning to do at this banquet? Liu Mengxue subtly furrowed her brows, her gaze fixed on Ye Qingcheng. The Yi clan's announcement came as guests had barely recovered from Chu Qing's sudden attempt to assassinate the great Emperor Yue Ye. Once they had regained their composure, the cultivators stared blankly towards Ye Qingcheng. Great Emperor Yue Ye, Ye Yu, and I have known each other for several centuries. Since then, I have been deeply enamored with the Great Emperor. The Great Emperor Yue Ye, unwilling to rely on the Yi clan, made a pact with me that he would only come to propose marriage after he had proven himself as a Quasi-Emperor. I have already reported this matter to our clan's old ancestors, and it has received the approval of our ancestral elders. Today, I invite all of you to bear witness. Our Yi clan is willing to offer the ultimate Tao Emperor weapon, the Waterfire Taiji diagram, as a dowry, awaiting the Great Emperor Yue Ye's arrival at our gates. Brother Yu, our clan's ancestors have awakened and are awaiting your arrival at the Yi clan's gates. As she finished speaking, Ye Qingcheng smiled radiantly, her large round eyes curving into crescent moons as she gazed intently at Yi Yu. At this very moment, the entire Jiaoqi banquet fell into an absolute deathly silence. All the guests were dumbfounded, Liu Mengshuo's expression froze stiff, and Chu Qing's hopeful and eager anticipation utterly collapsed. To use an emperor clan as a betrothal gift and an ultimate Tao emperor weapon as a dowry merely to marry Yi Yu, not to mention the others, even Yi Yu, who was well aware of Ye Qingcheng's mischievous nature, held his breath, utterly stunned. When did I ever agree to a marriage pact with you? When did I ever make a pact to propose marriage at your gates? Even I am unaware of such a thing. At this moment, Ye Qingcheng's pitiful voice transmitted directly into Ye Yu's ears. Brother Yu, I beg of you. Please do not refuse, otherwise our Yi clan will lose all face. Yi Yu felt a slight ache in his teeth. Was this young maiden truly strong-arming him? Yuge, the clan elders in my family already disapprove of my one-sided affection for you. Moreover, it appears the Heavenly Gate will not open in this current era. This is the final chance the clan elders have granted me. If you refuse, I will be forced to return to the Shenyuan Zifeng, remaining sealed until the next era before I can re-enter the world. Please, do not refuse me. I know I am very stubborn, but I do not wish to miss this chance, nor do I wish to abandon your concerns. I understand, but you are already a Quasi-Emperor. What is there left to worry about? Unless you truly say you hold no affection for me, then and only then will I give up. Furthermore, do not ask me why I like you. Affection needs no reason, it simply is. You, listen to me. This Ye Qingcheng simply likes you. It has nothing to do with your status. I merely like you for who you are, nothing more. Without waiting for Ye Yu's reply, Ye Qingcheng continued, her voice firm. I, Ye Qingcheng, as the daughter of a great emperor, declare that you are the first man I have ever liked, and you shall be the last. If you dare not like me, then you are surely dead. Ye Qingcheng's gaze was resolute, her clear eyes holding nothing but the reflection of Yi Yu. She stared intently at Yi Yu as she delivered those final words. Ye Qingcheng's voice, though sharp as grinding teeth, betrayed a profound anxiety and unease, as though she truly feared Yi Yu would reject her. This stubborn girl. Yi Yu smiled, closing his eyes as memories with Ye Qingcheng flashed through his mind. Countless images unfolded before him. Whether he harbored fear for Ye Qingcheng was, in truth, only natural. Ye Qingcheng was inherently mischievous, yet also deeply affectionate, prone to playful pouting, and remarkably understanding. Though an emperor's daughter, she carried no arrogance but rather an approachable warmth. How could Yi Yu not be fond of her? Indeed, it was time for him to give his answer. Opening his eyes, he met the gaze of a slightly anxious Ye Qingcheng. Yi Yu smiled, then spoke in a deep, resonant voice. Wait but 10 more days, I shall come to the Yi clan and formally propose marriage. Ye Qingcheng's eyes widened, shining with immense surprise and overflowing joy. Countless thoughts flashed through her mind. All of them coalesced into a single ecstatic thought. Yuge agreed. The eyes of the assembled guests also gleamed, silent shouts of delight echoing in their hearts. This journey was not in vain. Truly, it was not in vain. Having just witnessed the Yue Ye Great Emperor and the Ye clan's daughter pledging their lives to each other, Liu Mengshue's spirit utterly collapsed. She silently glared at Ye Qingcheng. Liu Mengshue's teeth were close to shattering from her clenching jaw. Chu Qing's spirits plummeted, his face nearly darkening with despair, a single thought echoing in his mind. It's over. Damn it, I've become a fool once more. The Yue Great Emperor has graced the Yaoqi sacred land with his presence. This old one was away on urgent matters and could not greet you in time. I humbly request the Yue Great Emperor not to fault me for this oversight. Just then an ancient voice resonated from the very void. Moments later, an elderly woman, her face etched with wrinkles, materialized beside Liu Mengxue. Though her visage was aged, it could not conceal her innate grace and dignified demeanor. One could easily imagine the breathtaking beauty she possessed in her youth. Liu Mengxue immediately performed a respectful salute, paying respects to the Tianqi Great Emperor. All the assembled cultivators swiftly rose and bowed in reverence towards the elderly woman, reverently proclaiming, "We pay respects to the Tianqi Great Emperor, former sacred lord of the Yaoqi sacred land." The esteemed master of Liu Mengxue, her cultivation, hundreds of years prior, had already attained the Quasi-Emperor realm. Her current cultivation was unfathomably terrifying, akin to how Ye Yu himself was referred to as a great emperor. Naturally, other Quasi-Emperors were similarly addressed. Before the heavenly heart condenses and a true great emperor emerges into the world, every Quasi-Emperor holds the potential to attain the great emperor realm. Out of respect, each such individual is thus bestowed the title of great emperor. This custom, of course, is limited only to the era preceding the actual birth of a great emperor. Should a true great emperor emerge in the current era, then naturally, only that single individual may rightfully claim the title. Senior jokes, Yi Yu replied, this Yi merely came uninvited. If there is blame to be cast, it should rightly fall upon this Yi Senior. The new waves push forth the old, Yi Yu remarked with a smile. Sensing the fluctuating yet potent aura emanating from Ye Yu and the faint yet undeniable threat it carried, the Tianqi Great Emperor couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Compared to the battle from several decades ago, Ye Yu's strength had advanced by leaps and bounds. Even though she herself was a Quasi-Emperor of the Ninth Heaven, the Tianqi Great Emperor was certain that Yi Yu could suppress her with a single move, even if she wielded an ultimate Emperor armament. This girl, sigh, forget it. I, your master, still have to step forward on your behalf. With a temperament like this, how could you ever contend with Ye Qingcheng? Glancing at Lu Mengxue, the Tianqi Great Emperor felt a touch of helplessness. Regarding the affections of her disciple, the Tianqi Great Emperor naturally understood them well and was willing to accept them. After all, Yi Yu's potential was beyond doubt. But to have it happen on her home turf and to be preempted by that girl from the Yi clan, what more could this Tianqi Great Emperor say? She too felt helpless and had no choice but to step forward herself. Yoi Great Emperor, given your acquaintance with my humble disciple, isn't it a bit inappropriate for you to address this old one as senior? Whose sentiments was the Tianqi Great Emperor now voicing? Yi Yu's eyelids twitched. He could already guess the true intention. He could only reluctantly address her as auntie. Good, good, good. Hearing this, the Tianqi Great Emperor praised him repeatedly, her smile growing even warmer. This disciple of mine is a bit shy. There are some things Mengxue dares not say herself, so let this old one speak on her behalf. Yoye, this old one will take the liberty of addressing you so familiarly. My humble disciple harbors deep feelings for you. For hundreds of years, Mengxue has yearned for you so profoundly that even her cultivation has been somewhat neglected, all while she gathered information about you. Each time you clashed with another, Mengxue would be fraught with worry. Indeed, Mengxue has implored this old one countless times to intervene and lend you aid. In the past, when you battled against the heavens chosen of the ancient royal clans, the reason the quasi-emperors of those ancient clans did not appear was because this old one secretly protected you in that matter. You can ask them yourself. Once you question the ancient clan's quasi-emperors, they will confirm it was this old one. What will you think then? However, no matter the depth of these feelings, a clear answer can only be obtained by directly asking. Today, this old one will shamelessly ask Yi Yu a question. Are you willing to marry the holy maiden of our Jade Pond Holy Land? If you agree, our Jade Pond Holy Land shall become your eternal subordinate. Everything the Jade Pond Holy Land possesses, including its ultimate emperor armaments, you may utilize and command as you wish. If you do not agree, consider this old one's words unsaid. You need not feel pressured, nor worry that a public refusal might cause Mengxue any awkwardness. Should you decline, this old one will erase the memories of everyone present regarding this entire affair. Looking towards Yi Yu, the Tianqi Great Emperor spoke with a solemn expression. As these words were uttered, the entire venue erupted in astonishment. Everyone was dumbfounded, their blank expressions betraying a disbelief that made them question their very existence, their minds buzzing like a hive of bees. The Holy Maiden of Jade Pond actually loves the Yoye Great Emperor, too. Heavens, are they all playing such a grand game? The Yoye Great Emperor's appeal was not just his peerless cultivation talent. His skill in attracting women was also unparalleled. Our ancient profound Dao region's rare goddesses, two of them, both wished to marry the Yoye Great Emperor. Seeing Lu Mengshue's expression, tense to the point where she clenched her sleeves tight, her gaze fixed intently on the Yue Great Emperor, it was not hard to imagine the profound feelings Lu Mengxue harbored. Chu Qing's eyes turned bloodshot, and his scalp tingled with numbness. A tremendous sense of rage and humiliation ceaselessly surged within his heart. So infuriated was he that Chu Qing let out a cold snort, blood already trickling from the corner of his mouth. If Chu Qing still couldn't understand what was happening at this moment, he would truly be an emotional fool. All along, the one who sought to eliminate Yi Yu was Chu Tin himself, who had conspired with the Jiaoqi Lord and the Yi clan maiden. But attention, they merely sought to lure Ye Yu in so Chu Tin could declare his twisted affections. Damn it. Damn it all. Chu Tin was utterly enraged, his fury distorting his very features. So it was that these two women had agreed to cooperate with him. Yet another reason was that they intended to offer him as a gift to Ye Yu. Therefore, Lu Mengshue's demeanor in his past life's memory was not a pretense but an act of love, merely wishing to display her true capabilities to Yi Yu. Dogs, a pack of dogs, all of them immoral wretches, all of them mere beasts, beasts. Ding, mission accomplished. Master has completely overwhelmed the Son of Destiny at the Jiaoqi Grand Feast. Mission rewards are being augmented. Master has rendered the Son of Destiny into an utter fool at the Jiaoqi Sacred Feast. Mission rewards have been greatly augmented. A torrent of system notifications resonated within Yu Yu's mind. So it was that when he had suppressed the ancient clan's Heavens Chosen, the Quasi-Emperor ancient clan had not intervened because of Mengxue. Yi Yu was stunned, then a bitter smile touched his lips. Such affection would be difficult to repay. Speaking of which, he and Longxue had become acquainted because he had once participated in the sacred feast, after which he had remained at the Jiaoqi sacred land to study and cultivate. As for why Lu Mengxue harbored feelings for him, Ye Yu truly had no idea. Lu Mengxue had not been as proactive or overt in her affections as Yi Qing, choosing instead to love in silence. Had Yi Yu not discerned it himself, he might never have realized Lu Mengshue's affections for him. Fortunately, this mystical realm had no strictures against taking more than one wife. Yi Yu secretly sighed. Why would he ever need to choose? Yi Yu was neither a hesitant, indecisive man nor one given to excessive sentimentality. I have agreed to go to the Yi clan to propose marriage. Ye Qingcheng then quietly inquired, I have no objections, but I wonder if Sister Lu Mengxue would mind? Ye Qingcheng spoke softly, gazing towards Lu Mengxue as she did. I do not mind. Lu Mengxue trembled, bowing her head and stammering. Since none have objections, Yi Yu declared, I request some time from aunt, and once prepared, I shall come to each of your doors, one by one, to propose marriage. Yi Yu spoke no further. The venerable great emperor then seriously declared, very well, the great emperor affirmed, then I, this old one, shall not speak at length either. For this Jiaoqi grand feast, I wish all of you a joyful time of feasting and merriment. The Tianqi great emperor, his face radiant, addressed the guests and then vanished without a trace. Congratulations, great emperor Yoye, congratulations, Jiaoqi lord, congratulations to the Yi clan maiden. All the guests were exhilarated, raising their voices in joyous congratulations. To have attended this feast, to have witnessed such grand drama and such a joyous occasion truly made the journey worthwhile. Brother Yu, I shall await you at the Yi clan. After transmitting her message to Yi Yu, Ye Qingcheng hastily led the Yi clan descendants away. Lu Mengxue too appeared somewhat bashful. Having completed her duties of presiding over the feast for the elders of the Jiaoqi sacred land, she promptly took her leave. Great Emperor, how shall this person be handled? The Jiaoqi sacred land elder bowed towards Yi Yu, then cast his gaze towards Chu Tin. Leave him to me. Yi Yu surveyed the feast, noticing that the various venerable emperors had long since departed unnoticed. He then looked at Chu Tin, raised a hand, and with a swift motion, directly sealed Chu Tin before storing him away. This particular son of destiny was a reincarnated individual, and Yi Yu held great interest in his memories. Ding! The son of destiny has been suppressed by the master, and the destiny task has been nullified. Congratulations, master, you have received a grand upgrade package. Would you like to open the system now? As the voice echoed, a glance skyward revealed the gathering of heavenly tribulation. Perhaps due to Ye Yu's repeated provocations, the aura of this heavenly tribulation was even more terrifying, with a faint, mysterious gray Tao rhythm beginning to circulate and unfold. Yet Yi Yu paid no heed to the converging heavenly tribulation. Yi Yu silently mused, Congratulations, master, you have acquired the heaven-mending secret art system. As soon as the voice faded, his vision brightened, and a projection materialized before Yi Yu. The heaven-mending secret art allows one to devour the heavenly Tao and grasp the secret laws of a realm. Through an intermediary, it can seize all the power of the heavenly Tao, thereby delving into the fundamental rules of that realm. Should one plunder and devour enough of the heavenly Tao's origin, they can become the master of the heavenly Tao, presiding over a realm and comprehending the heaven-mending law. Yi Yu raised an eyebrow. Have I not already encountered a son of destiny? Yi Yu appeared deep in thought, his eyes shimmering with brilliant divine light. This timing is truly opportune. Great changes are unfolding in the upper realm, and in the future it is likely to infect all the myriad heavens. If the myriad realms wish to resist the upper realm, then I must build a formidable power and utilize boundless resources to ascend to the absolute pinnacle. If I can become the master of this universe, or even preside over the heavenly Tao origins of 3,000 universes, at that moment Ye Yu's eyes gleamed with ambition. He chuckled, if I unify the 3,000 Tao domains and the 3,000 grand universes, and gain the insights of 3,000 heavenly Taos, all shall converge within my being. By then, even if I do not ascend to the upper realm, Yi Yu shall still be unrivaled throughout all existence. And at this very moment, an abrupt change occurred. Dark clouds obscured the sky, dense mist swirled, and endless silent darkness converged from across the cosmos. The entire Jade Pool Holy Land seemed enveloped, filled with a terrifying aura, as if all creation was returning to naught. Strand after strand of divine laws interwove within the void, their rules transforming into ancient runes. These runes evolved into a cage, instantly forming from the evolution of the 3,000 Grand Tao rules. 10,000 boundless primordial killing techniques also revolved. Stretching towards the path to the higher heavens, the very world howled in protest. Liu Mengshu and Emperor Tianqi, who had already departed, reappeared deep within the Jade Pool Holy Land. In an instant they sensed several dark, ominous auras stirring. Indeed, many ancient elders of the Jade Pool Holy Land were observing, wondering, why has the heavenly tribulation and divine punishment suddenly descended? Including all the esteemed guests, everyone's gaze was heavy with concern, fixed upon the dark clouds in the sky, their faces revealing a mixture of shock and unease. Observing this aura, the power of this heavenly tribulation seemed to have converged to its peak, emanating a terrifying might. Even a great saint, sensing it, would feel a chill in their heart, their spirit and essence trembling. Is this heavenly Tao punishment truly brought forth because of that individual? A being of immense destiny moved a finger, attempting to divine the cause. Within the netherworld, the heavenly secrets provided a response, startling all the powerful cultivators awake. That mere gesture, because of Emperor Ye imprisoning him, has enraged the heavenly Tao, which is now about to unleash heavenly tribulation. Why are there so many individuals bearing great destiny recently? Could it be that a major event is about to unfold in heaven and earth? Or perhaps a great catastrophe is imminent? Everyone's gaze was solemn, inwardly guessing with astonishment. Disciples of the Jade Pool, heed my command. Immediately activate the Plain Cloud Realm Grand Formation. Lu Mengshua's voice was cold and dangerous as she loudly declared, "Heavenly tribulation. If this were a cultivation world, cultivators would naturally revere the heavens and dare not oppose them. But this is a Xuanhuan world. Everyone knows that cultivators in a Xuanhuan world walk the path of defying the heavens. It's already fortunate if they don't openly challenge the heavens. How could anyone fear the heavenly Tao?" Naturally, Lu Mengxue held no regard for the heavenly tribulation. Furthermore, this tribulation dared to target the one she cherished, which Lu Mengxue absolutely could not condone. "If you dare lay a hand on Brother Yu, then I shall cripple you first. Awaken, Kunlun ancestor. Let the might of the ultimate emperor weapon suppress this tribulation." Her beautiful eyes narrowed slightly. Lu Mengshui turned her head and bowed towards the depths of the Jade Pool Holy Land, clearly prepared to awaken the Kunlun Mirror Divine Artifact and unleash the ultimate emperor weapon to sweep aside the heavenly Tao. Before Lu Mengshui could finish speaking, Yi Yu's figure materialized before her. His gentle voice resonated. "There's no need, Mengshui." Her expression froze in surprise. "Just leave it to me. It's merely a heavenly tribulation, no need for such trouble," Yi Yu said with a smile. Lu Mengshui simply responded, saying nothing more. "Let's see how effective this heaven-mending secret art truly is," he mused inwardly. Yi Yu clasped his hands behind his back, his profound gaze fixed upon the heavenly tribulation. In an instant, with but a thought, Yi Yu had grasped the entirety of the heaven-mending secret art. Countless techniques, circulation paths, and core incantations were all memorized within his mind. Was he truly the Son of Destiny? The Son of Destiny? A divine status born from the heavenly Tao itself. This was the connection between them. Thus he could borrow the Son of Destiny to delve into the heavenly Tao, plunder its authority, fully grasp its reins, and comprehend its very rules. Yi Yu suddenly awoke to this realization, his eyes gradually brightening. "Excellent," he muttered, "then I can rest easy. The Sons of Destiny? Surely there would be no shortage of them." In this way, he merely needed to suppress enough Sons of Destiny, and then he could easily become the master of this universe, perhaps even of the 3,000 Tao realms. If he could fuse the 3,000 Tao realms, even if he didn't ascend to the upper realm, the sheer divine authority of the 3,000 Tao realms alone would be comparable to that of the upper realm itself. And at this very moment, the heavenly tribulation had fully brewed, erupting with a deafening roar as 3,000 divine thunderbolts manifested, directly lunging towards Yi Yu. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth, yin and yang. Each divine lightning bolt contained a type of grand Tao, totaling 3,000 in all. It was as if they sought to reopen the primordial earth, wind, water, and fire, carrying apocalyptic might, yet also bearing the essence of creation, descending with unparalleled divine power and thunderous grandeur. 3,000 grand Tao rule lightning bolts. This was enough to severely wound a great emperor. What kind of great emperor had so thoroughly enraged the heavenly Tao? Could even the might of an extreme Tao emperor armament compare? All the formidable experts trembled, sensing the terrifying power contained within the divine lightning. Their expressions changed dramatically. They clicked their tongues in silent awe, their eyes filled with anticipation as they stared at Yi Yu. It has begun, they thought, waiting for Yi Yu to unleash his 8 Desolations Purgatory Halberd to once again display the might of an extreme Tao Emperor armament. This heavenly tribulation was already the most terrifying divine technique under the direct authority of the heavenly Tao, truly capable of severely wounding a great emperor, not just empty words. Even great Emperor Yoye, to resist it, could only resort to wielding an extreme Tao Emperor armament of the heavenly Tao. Could the heavenly gate be about to open? In this era, the heavenly Tao seemed far more active, and now a moonlit night heavenly tribulation, its terrifying might was boundless, shaking the entire universe as countless ancient existences seemed to sense it. They opened their eyes, looking towards the Yuchi star domain. When they clearly perceived the situation, many grandmasters raised their brows, showing interest, and continued to watch. Under the watchful eyes of myriad beings, Yi Yu stood clad in white robes, fluttering gently in the wind, suspended in the void. He was like a peerless divine king, an unrivaled sovereign, simultaneously ethereal and transcendent, mysterious and profound. Truly, a noble unparalleled in the world, whose presence was like polished jade. Facing the heavenly tribulation, Yi Yu smiled, though it wasn't quite a smile. He slowly raised his hand, and a vast amount of immortal light manifested, threads of divine radiance spreading outwards. More than that, surging rules and undulating Tao rhythms emanated from him. He unleashed a single punch, as if shattering all laws like a resplendent sun, yet also like the descent of the Grand Yin. Beneath this single punch, heaven and earth became utterly still, yet simultaneously it was as if primordial chaos was splitting open, an awe-inspiring momentum, exalted and eternal. It seemed as if no power exploded, no aura escaped. Yet, wherever Yi Yu's fist passed, space collapsed and the void shattered. This terrifying power seemed to pierce directly into the sea of primordial chaos, shattering all reality. With a single punch, he obliterated the heavenly tribulation. The very heavenly tribulation that was capable of severely wounding a great emperor could not withstand a single blow from Yi Yu. This was impossible. Whether it was the cultivators present at the scene or the ancient existences across the entire universe, all seemed to fall into a deathly silence at this moment. Countless gasps of shock echoed everywhere. Even many grandmasters were so utterly astonished that they couldn't even retract their auras, causing countless stars to tremble in that instant. When he had fought the great Emperor Luogu, he still needed to borrow an extreme Tao Emperor armament. How much time had passed since then? His personal strength was now sufficient to sweep aside great emperors. Everyone found it incredibly difficult to believe. Their minds buzzed, they began to doubt their understanding of existence, utterly unable to comprehend this spectacle. Yet it wasn't over. Yeyu's eyes shone brightly, and the aura around him seemed to converge to its absolute limit like a silent sublimation, an endless metamorphosis. His fervent battle intent transformed into divine flames coiling around his body. Taking a single step, Yiyu soared 10,000 miles, standing at the apex of the universe directly facing the circulating heaven-mending secret art of the heavenly Tao. In the depths of the netherworld, Chu Qing seemed to experience an explosive surge of spiritual essence, thereby connecting with the heavenly Tao that permeated heaven and earth. Within Yiyu's gaze, the divine order began to manifest and evolve. At this very moment, reality itself seemed to peel away and Yiyu's perception, layer by ethereal layer. All that remained was the colossal framework of the Grand Tao's fundamental laws, upholding the very operation of the entire cosmos. Yet, from some unfathomable point, a faint, undeniable glimmer of light etched itself into the depths of Yiyu's vision. His eyes blazed with newfound clarity as Yiyu, guided by that light, locked onto the very essence of the heavenly Tao, the nexus of karmic destiny intrinsically linked to Chu Qing. Once more he unleashed a single devastating punch. A punch that seemed to cleave the heavens themselves. A punch that brought forth an absolute, profound stillness. A single cataclysmic blow capable of shattering 10,000 miles of mountains and rivers. It was as if the heavens and earth themselves threw this strike, imbued with boundless celestial might, capable of shaking countless stars from their cosmic slumber. A strike that manifested the supreme will of the upper heavens, as if wielded by the upper heavens themselves to bring an end to all. In that fleeting instant, this monumental strike seemingly transcended all layers of reality. As it landed, the very fabric of the void completely fractured and crumbled. From the shattered expanse, a deluge of primordial laws surged forth, the profound essence of all existence. This void swiftly birthed immense quantities of yin-chi and ethereal matter, manifesting as an endless divine radiance that swept across and challenged the will of the heavenly Tao itself. Was this great Emperor Yoye's intention to directly confront the heavenly Tao itself? Before even achieving Tao enlightenment, how could he possibly possess such cataclysmic power? This is simply impossible, utterly impossible. Their minds reeled, scalps tingling with shock. The entire universe in that solitary moment fell into a deathly profound silence. Even the most ancient of existences, even great emperors dwelling within forbidden lands, were utterly dumbfounded. Their very breath hitched, suspended in the air. In the myriad fantasy realms, one might often hear cries of defying the heavens at the slightest provocation. Yet these are but empty boasts, mere declarations, never a true direct challenge to the celestial order itself. But what of Yiyu? Had he truly dared to provoke the heavenly Tao, to actually shatter its manifest will? Let alone a mere quasi-emperor, even a true great emperor would be incapable of such an audacious feat. Yet, Yiyu had not only dared but displayed a terrifying power that reached its absolute zenith. The peerless quasi-emperor across all of ancient and modern history. This singular thought flashed through the minds of every living being present. Across the vast endless expanse of ancient and modern history, no quasi-emperor had ever achieved such a monumental step. There had never been, nor would there ever be, a quasi-emperor capable of not only suppressing a great emperor but also engaging in direct combat with the very will of the heavens. Yiyu was truly worthy of being called the paramount figure of all time. The heavenly Tao was on the verge of erupting in wrath. Countless ancient powers whispered amongst themselves, their attention now utterly fixated. They yearned to witness how Yiyu would withstand the heavenly Tao's full unbridled fury. It must be understood that the heavenly Tao is but the convergence of the fundamental rules and the collective will of the entire universe. It possesses no true sentience, yet it operates with an innate instinctual drive. Should an action align with its established rules, the heavenly Tao will not intervene. For example, if Yiyu were to merely defeat a heavenly tribulation, the heavenly Tao could not and would not intercede. Such an act would still conform to the natural order. However, Yiyu had directly provoked the heavenly Tao, even shattering its manifested will. This indeed transcended into an entirely different realm of defiance. What the heavenly Tao represents in its absolute essence is the entire universe itself. In other words, to oppose the heavenly Tao is to oppose the entirety of existence. The implications of this defiance were self-evident. Great Emperor Ye had dared to provoke the heavenly Tao. Could he truly possess some hidden trump card, some ultimate stratagem to resist the very heavens? As if confirming the unspoken fears of the great powers, in the very next breath the heavenly Tao erupted in unimaginable fury. Across the boundless nether realms, every single living being within the universe was overcome by an overwhelming sense of anxious dread. Billions of stars across the cosmos trembled incessantly as a vast multitude of Tao laws converged into boundless divine mirrors. These mirrors, in turn, began to manifest the 3,000 Grand Tao rules, illuminating the universe with immortal light and terrifying unbridled power. This raw power in a single instant condensed to its absolute zenith. Even the vast, immeasurable universe itself began to convulse and tremble uncontrollably, seemingly roaring in cosmic agony. The universe itself, now empowered, divine purgatorial might descended. Each successive aftershock tore at the very fabric of reality, reducing all in its wake to primordial dust and rendering everything utterly illusory. The very space surrounding Yiyu now seemed entirely severed from the threads of reality. Beneath the convergence of countless fortuitous opportunities, the faint golden shadow of a tree materialized directly above Yiyu's head. This was the eye of the heavenly Tao, the very manifestation of its omnipresent will. its primeval glacial killing intent descending upon the world, devoid of any discernible emotion. A voice profoundly mysterious, even more enigmatic than the deepest cosmic secrets, resonated directly within the hearts of every living creature across the universe. The will of heaven transforms into judgment, targeting Yi Yu. Yi Yu offered a faint smile. Without the heaven-mending secret art, Yi Yu would naturally not provoke the heavenly Tao, but with it, things were entirely different. What grand feat could this heaven-mending secret art truly accomplish? He mused inwardly. Yi Yu's eyes shone brightly. He let out a booming utterance, extending his hand to grasp. Countless mysterious runes coiled around his palm, surging and transforming into myriad divine principles. In that instant, his palm seemed to transform into the hand of the supreme heavens, as if becoming a heaven and earth prison, directly permeating the void itself. In that moment, the cosmos trembled, and countless principles in a hidden domain collapsed. The very will of the heavenly Tao seemed to tremble. Even the eye of the heavenly Tao flickered, appearing illusory, as if being eroded by an unseen power, a single moment that stretched into eternity. Yi Yu suddenly withdrew his hand. An invisible roar spread as a talisman exuding a mysterious Tao aura and an indescribable karmic fortune materialized. Caught firmly in his hand, Yi Yu then absorbed the talisman into his sea of consciousness. In a flash, the will of the heavenly Tao in the sky seemed severely wounded, receding as swiftly as a tide. The Titan-level experts, without exception, were utterly stunned, unable to comprehend what had just transpired. In the next moment, as Yi Yu's figure vanished from the void, countless gasps and sharp intakes of breath resounded. A myriad of unspoken thoughts converged in their hearts. Ultimately, only one terrifying thought remained in the minds of all cultivators. Great Emperor Yi had become unfathomably profound and terrifying. What secret art was that just now? Yi Yu seemed to have stolen the very origin of the heavenly Tao, leaving it wounded. That was why it had retreated. In certain forbidden zones, the great emperors sealed within divine essence revealed looks of apprehension in their eyes. If this continues, this individual will undoubtedly become a grave threat. Divine light seemed to flow within the eyes of the great emperors, as if they had made a solemn decision in their hearts. Deep within the cosmos, in a tranquil starfield, after sending a sound transmission to bid farewell to Liu Mengxue, Ye Yu found a large star in this starfield and sat down cross-legged. The stolen power of the heavenly Tao was now within his sea of consciousness. Gazing at the talisman within his sea of consciousness, which exuded a mysterious Tao aura and divine radiance, Ye Yu muttered to himself, "This is a great Tao principle, or rather, the very origin of the great Tao principles of the heavens." The sensation in the netherworld had granted Ye Yu an epiphany. The omnipotence of this principle, it held the very authority of the heavens. Wherever the heavens pointed, Ye Yu could utilize its power. Whether standing in the vast cosmos or upon a solitary star, Ye Yu could invoke the power of the heavens, bestowing it upon himself and transforming it into his own strength. Not only that, but this act of stealing the omnipotence of the heavenly Tao's origin principle further enlightened Yi Yu to many profound mysteries of the heaven-mending secret art. A complete realm possesses 3,000 great Tao principles. If I can steal all 3,000 great Tao principles, then I will be able to become the true master of a realm. This time I was not very proficient, so I only stole one principle. Next time I will be far more skilled. Thus, the number of principles I can steal will also increase. Furthermore, if I control all 3,000 great Tao principles of this universe, by then, I myself will be the mediator of fate. When invading and controlling other universes, there will be no need to rely on the children of destiny anymore. I myself can directly suppress and refine them. Yi Yu mused plainly, the reason the children of destiny serve as mediators is because they are blessed by the heavenly Tao, or rather, they carry its karma. But if I myself become a heavenly Tao, naturally, there will be no need for the children of destiny. By then, the heaven-mending secret art will truly live up to its name. Under its full deployment, it can mend the heavens, capture the heavenly Tao, and even refine the heavenly Tao itself. The heavenly principle is currently only stolen by me. I must completely refine it. Only then can I be considered to truly control a principle of the heavens. Once refined, my cultivation should break through at least one, and perhaps even two minor realms. A look of anticipation flickered in Ye Yu's eyes. This is a principle, an origin principle at that. Refining it to break through one or two minor realms is naturally no problem. But before refining it, there is indeed one more matter to attend to. With a flick of his hand, Yi Yu released Chu Qing. This reborn individual might know from which era of the future he had been reborn. A faint smile played on his face. Without further ado, Ye Yu directly unleashed his divine sense, beginning to search for Chu Qing's divine soul. As for unsealing him, there was no need to speak with him. He was merely an ant. What if he was a child of destiny? Whether to interact with him or mock him, Yi Yu had no interest. In an instant, countless memories surged forth. Yi Yu casually killed Chu Qing, then closed his eyes and began to thoroughly examine Chu Qing's memories. Reborn, returning from 1,000 years in the future? Little wonder he wanted to kill me so desperately. Even without the aid of a system, I would still dominate for an era in the future. My dominance was simply inevitable. The system was merely auxiliary. My strength comes from myself, not the system. Even after crossing 500 years, he only became a Quasi-Emperor. I had never even encountered a system. Without it, the system would merely slow my growth, but it would not impede my path to becoming a supreme powerhouse. A long while later, Yi Yu opened his eyes and muttered to himself. Within Chu Qing's memories, the information regarding future fortuitous encounters, needless to say, brought Yi Yu immense satisfaction. Indeed, Children of Destiny were truly beneficial. The aid they provided him could not be greater. It could save him no small amount of cultivation time. Yu now only hoped that the Children of Destiny who appeared later would be of increasingly higher quality, for that would make things even more perfect. The upper realm invaded, the 3,000 Dao domains completely fell. What level of powerhouse did that drop of demonic emperor blood belong to? A mere drop of blood containing such unimaginable power, it was truly unbelievable. Recalling the reason for Chu Qing's rebirth, Yi Yu's gaze grew slightly serious. Indeed, just as the Empress had foretold, 1,000 years later the heavenly gate would open wide. However, it wouldn't be for ascension as mortals imagined, but rather a torrent, the descent of all upper realm powerhouses who had transformed into demonic beings. In Chu Qing's memories, the devastation following the upper realm's descent was still vividly clear. Even he, in the end, had fallen. The myriad heavens and 10,000 realms had thus transformed into a demonic abyss, becoming a burial ground. There were still over 900 years. That was enough. Divine light seemed to flicker in Yeyu's eyes, and battle intent surged within them. The upper realm descends, a boundless sea of demons, then let them come. Chu Qing in his own memories had failed, but that did not mean he would fail. With the system activated and more Children of Destiny becoming his sources of experience, and over 900 years remaining in the future, how far Yu could grow even he could not imagine. First, he would refine the heavenly laws, then it would be time to begin his plan. Time waited for no one, he had to seize the moment. Exhaling slowly, he cleared his mind of distractions. Yu no longer pondered, he slowly closed his eyes and began to cultivate. It was not merely about reaching the Emperor realm to suppress all. What of the upper realm? Should it descend, Yu was absolutely confident he could suppress all. Moreover, Yu did not wish to passively await the upper realm's descent and suffer its blows. That was not Yu's nature. He wished to harness the power of the 3,000 Dao domains and then launch a counterattack against the upper realm. The Primordial Divine Clan, one of the reclusive clans of the ancient profound cosmos, countless eons ago the entire ancient profound cosmos and even the surrounding universes were all dominated by the Primordial Divine Clan. The clan leader of the Primordial Divine Clan at the time waged war across all lands. Ultimately, he established the Primordial Divine Peak, dominating 5 great universes, a reign that endured through many epochs before finally concluding. And with the clan leader of the Primordial Divine Clan ascending to the upper realm, the Primordial Divine Clan gradually faded into obscurity. Nevertheless, their profound foundation naturally still shook the cosmos with their might, existing in supreme solitude. Even clans such as the Ancient Clan, Divine Clan, Heavenly Clan, Demonic Beast Clan, and Human Clan today are still all subordinate clans of the Primordial Divine Clan. Within the reclusive minor realm of the Primordial Divine Clan, the legitimate son of the former clan leader, Shen Wuchen, had already unsealed himself in this life and was cultivating his insights within the Divine Hall. Suddenly, a shadowy aura swept past. Shen Wuchen abruptly opened his eyes. After a moment of confusion, Shen Wuchen's gaze quickly regained its clarity. Where is this place? Was I not tending sheep? Why have I suddenly appeared here? Looking around, Shen Wuchen muttered, a hint of incomprehension in his voice, especially upon sensing the terrifying power within his body, which only deepened Shen Wuchen's bewilderment. This power, even a divine treasury heaven ladder saint or a great saint, could not rival such might. Shen Wuchen felt as if he could crush a star with a mere flick of his hand. At this moment, mystical waves of information surged through his mind, and countless memories flooded back in an instant. Shen Wuqian closed his eyes, instinctively absorbing the torrent of information. After a long moment, Shen Wuqian opened his eyes, which were now brimming with boundless joy. The direct descendant of a divine venerate from the Taigu Divine Clan. I have actually body-snatched the direct descendant of a Taigu Divine Venerate. I, a mere menial disciple from a minor sect, have actually succeeded in seizing the body of a Taigu Divine Venerate's direct descendant. Haha, with this new identity, who would dare look down upon me now? With this identity, I can stand at the pinnacle of the entire Dao domain. Shen Wuqian was overwhelmed with elation. The immense, unexpected joy continuously assailed his mind, making him feel as if he might faint from sheer happiness. Although Shen Wuqian did not understand how an ant like himself could successfully body-snatch the descendant of a divine venerate, it no longer mattered. He had succeeded, and that was enough. It turned out that all those familiar major powers in ancient races were merely subordinates of the Taigu Divine Clan. Coupled with the foundation of the Taigu Divine Clan, am I not truly unrivaled now? My cultivation alone has already reached the pinnacle of the Saint King realm. I can achieve a breakthrough to the Quasi-Emperor realm at any moment. How exhilarating. Truly worthy of a divine venerate's bloodline. One can casually break through to the Quasi-Emperor realm. Countless thoughts raced through his mind. Shen Wuqian secretly clicked his tongue, his face flushed scarlet with extreme excitement. A myriad of words converged and passed, yet only one thought remained in Shen Wuqian's mind. I am invincible, I have become invincible, only I am invincible. Thinking of those celebrated geniuses radiating boundless glory, a smirk played on Shen Wuqian's lips and his eyes shone brighter. The current me is the divine son of the Taigu Divine Clan. The entire Taigu Divine Clan is under my command. If I command the Taigu Divine Clan to emerge, who in this vast universe could possibly contend with me? I am truly the brightest star. That's right, there's also her and the old me. No, now I possess the qualifications to take her as my wife. The Yaoqi Saintess, a fleeting image of Lu Mengshuo's back, which had once appeared in the Saintess's own mind, flashed through his thoughts. Shen Wuqian licked his slightly parched lips, a glint of greed flashing in his eyes. It is rumored that the Yaoqi Saintess secretly harbors affection for that dog Ye Yu, the Yoei Great Emperor, a Quasi-Emperor defying and vanquishing a Great Emperor. He furrowed his brow slightly, then relaxed it. A look of utter disdain appeared on Shen Wuqian's face. As far as he knew, the Taigu divine clan possessed several peerless imperial armaments alone, and their true foundation was far more terrifying. Yi Yu is truly laughable. No matter how powerful he might be, he is not worthy of being my opponent. If he knows what's good for him, then so be it. If he does not. First, I shall elevate my cultivation to the Quasi-Emperor realm, then I will consider how to make the Taigu divine clan emerge from seclusion. Meanwhile, on Tianwang Star, a part of Yaoqi Star, with Nataishuan Sect's Servant's Peak, a young man of ordinary appearance slowly opened his eyes. Why is my body here so weak? No, this isn't my body. He instantly sensed the abnormality of this new physique. The young man frowned slightly. Though a hint of panic touched him, he managed to maintain his composure. He took a deep breath, striving to keep his emotions stable. As he perceived a vast amount of information appearing in his mind, the young man immediately began to examine it. A menial disciple of the Taishuan sect. Zhang Qingfang, I have become a menial disciple of the Taishuan sect. How could this be? I possess a supreme treasure to protect my body. How could I suddenly body snatch this mere menial disciple? Is this an illusion? Has someone played a trick in the shadows? If I have body snatched this Zhang Qingfang, then where has the original Zhang Qingfang gone? He must have body snatched my original body. His eyes flashed, and the young man instantly grasped the situation. He involuntarily narrowed his eyes. If my deduction is correct, I fear that Zhang Qingfeng has also obtained his memories. I must find a way to re-establish contact with the god race, for only then can I prove my true identity. Exhaling slowly, the young man sank deep into thought. Deep within the vast cosmos, in the extinction star domain, Ye Yu was comprehending the profound mysteries of the heavenly laws. Sensing a subtle stir through the unseen netherworld, guided by the feedback of the former secret, hazy images began to surface in Ye Yu's mind. He opened his eyes, a sharp radiance glinting within their depths. Someone is plotting against me. The former secret could only capture a blurred image. They must be shielded by a supreme treasure. At a time like this, a new child of fate has emerged. Chuckling softly, a look of playful mockery overspread Ye Yu's face. As expected, the children of fate grow ever more formidable with time. This one even possesses a supreme treasure for protection. But so what if he is shielded by a supreme treasure? In the end, it is entirely in vain. Ye Yu slightly narrowed his eyes. Pinching his fingers together, he drove the former secret to its absolute limit. Passive feedback from the former secret had merely yielded a faint impression. If he actively invoked the former secret to probe the true situation, that was an entirely different matter. Block him? Could it truly block him? In an instant, that hazy veil was completely shattered by Yi Yu. Shen Wuqian immediately manifested before Ye Yu's sight. Discerning the cause and effect, an amused smile surfaced on Ye Yu's face. This Zhenqiu actually possessed the body of a mighty expert. How intriguing. A soul-possessing child of fate, the heavenly Tao truly knows how to play its games. Without a doubt, the fact that he could succeed in possessing him must be the doing of the heavenly Dao. The primordial god race possesses a suppressing supreme treasure, and their divine son is likewise protected by a supreme treasure. It should be utterly impossible for anyone to possess the divine son of the primordial god race, unless it were an unreasonable entity like a system. Since there is no system upon him, there is no doubt it can only be, as something crossed his mind. Yi Yu's heart stirred, and he immediately pushed his deduction further. If this fellow possessed the divine son of the primordial god race, then where is the real Shen Wuqian? In a flash, Yi Yu shifted his gaze toward another direction. The Shen Wuqian of old, now in the form of Zhang Qingfeng, appeared before Ye Yu's sight. As expected, the corners of Ye Yu's mouth curled upward as thoughts flickered through his mind. If such was the case, an idea took shape in Ye Yu's mind. The primordial god race is far from simple. If planned properly, perhaps my plan to build a supreme force will proceed far more smoothly. No rush, no rush. Let this child of fate dance around for a while longer. Once I finish refining the heavenly laws, there are other matters to attend to. Step by step. Shaking his head, Yi Yu cleared his mind of stray thoughts, paying no further mind to this child of fate, and resumed comprehending the heavenly laws. Time passed silently in cosmic stillness, and nearly 5 years flew by unnoticed. Within the extinction star domain, divine intent swirled around him as auspicious clouds surged above his head, with divine laws and Tao rhymes rising and falling, in ethereal majesty. Enveloped in countless profound Tao rhymes, Ye Yu slowly opened his eyes. Within his eyes seemed to lie the destruction and shifts of universes, as endless cosmic phenomena bloomed and faded in his gaze. A faint, dark aura brushed past Yi Yu's body. Though merely a fleeting trace, it instantly reduced tens of thousands of surrounding stars to ashes. The terrifying power caused the void to tremble, collapsing layer upon layer before the naked eye, entirely destroyed. Having fully refined the heavenly laws, his cultivation broke through 2 entire realms during this seclusion. Yi Yu had not merely advanced a single realm, but had surged forward by 2 entire minor realms. Soaring from the 3rd sky of the Quasi-Emperor realm straight to the 5th sky of the Quasi-Emperor realm, drawing 1 step closer to the 9th sky, it was time to get to work. Taking a deep breath, Yi Yu rose to his feet and gazed into the far distance, his eyes turning profound and boundless. The Ni clan is willing to offer an imperial weapon of the ultimate Dao as a dowry, while the Sacred Ground is willing to offer their entire holy realm as a dowry. This was something Yi Yu had by no means forgotten. If he were not to marry, so be it. But if he were to take a bride, it had to be done with absolute magnificence. Since Ni Xingchen and Lu Mengshui were offering so much, how could Yi Yu's betrothal gifts fall short? As the dignified great Emperor Yue, he could not afford to lose face. Rather than waiting for them to come to him, Yi Yu intended to step forth directly and propose marriage. His objective was to prepare a suitable betrothal gift. After all, it could not be inferior to an imperial weapon of the ultimate Dao. Indeed,